I did.
I assume you did, and then I didn't look. How am I looking?
Pretty good. I think you're up 50 plus on someone who, I mean, you both have a couple guys, but I don't think his two players are going to outscore yours by, if they both score 30.
Who am I up on?
Kitchen.
Oh, the captain, the guy who didn't even draft his own team, the guy who just let AI draft his team. That guy?
I think that's quite fair.
He did use an AI-generated program.
Yeah, to keep track of what was going on. I don't think he...
No, I did suggest it at the end, because at the end it graded him as the likely winner.
Well,
stunning.
He's pretty good then.
And it had me graded like 7th. You know?
Yeah, you're 52 up on him. And he's got Maurice Johnson and Terrace Reed, so he's probably get some points tonight, but he's not going to get 53 more points than Cadeau and Roddy Gale Jr. Oh, it's possible he might get 30. He might close the gap, but I can't see him catching you. If both those guys went for 31, you just have to get 10 out of your 2 to win.
So basically, you've just jinxed me.
No, there are no jinxes.
You just jinxed me.
And there's a possibility that Anderson can catch Sean Foster for third, because Sean doesn't have any players left. But he's got to have a heck of a night from somebody. So, and overall high score is still close between Terrace Reed and Yaxel Lindeborg. They're 9 apart.
They're 9 apart. Yeah, I don't have any. I don't have anybody. Who's my highest score? I think it's Keaton Wagler. Who's done, right?
Yep. And your top 4 guys are gone.
You know, in the years I don't do well, the player pool doesn't matter. But when I do well, it's the ultimate test of college basketball knowledge, don't you think?
I do think that's how you look at it. Absolutely.
I think you got to, don't you?
Yes.
It's just the best way to go about it. And it's so much easier to live your life.
And once again, I'm right in the middle. With no chance to win and no chance to finish last.
We do love our player pool. It's by far the most entertaining thing. You know, I've done Calcuttas. That's fun. There's a lot more money involved in that. This is only got a couple of bucks riding on it, but it is the most entertaining thing we do. But I will say, at some point, we may want to bump up the entrance fee and have somebody else run the show, because you put all the teams away.
Mm-hmm.
I think it severely hampers your chances of winning.
It might. Probably do. I appreciate you saying that.
I think it has to, because just the law of average, just off pure luck, you should have lucked into one by now.
True.
And you, what is the best you finished? Have you finished second?
I think I did finish third one year. Okay. I may have had the high score. There were a couple things, like I've seen money, or at least gotten a refund.
Okay.
But I've never been at the top.
Okay.
We've had some blowouts. We've had one that went down to was 1 point, to the point where I had to go back and.
Did I lose that?
No, that was
felt like it.
Can't remember who it was, but there was 1 point, and it was decided obviously in the final game, and I had to go back and look at all 40 players to make sure I didn't miss a point. I was like, we're in recount territory.
Yeah. Was there any hanging chads?
No hanging chads.
Okay.
I managed to get it right.
Kyle, back in the day, they used to use punch. Do they still use those cards? Or are they all gone? Is everybody on electronic?
I think they're probably.
You have to punch out. Like if you don't even he probably doesn't even remember punching out your all-star vote.
Oh no, I'm sure he doesn't.
I remember that.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I used to do that at the stadium.
Okay, so you'd punch it out, and like the little thing would hang. It wouldn't go. The hole would be there, but it didn't pop clear off.
Okay.
And there was, in the state of Florida, they had a recount, and they were talking about hanging chads. Those are called chads.
Yeah.
It's the only reason I know it.
537 votes, I think, in 2000.
Okay.
And some of the ones, because this wasn't like an all-star ballot, you see it's in your hand, you can tell if it comes out or not. But if you're just voting, you put the ballot down in the little slot, and you just punch out the spots as you turn the pages. You really can't see. When you pull it out, you can kind of tell, maybe, but you just pull it out and go, all right, this is good.
Yeah.
And there's shots of people with like magnifying glasses,
literally holding up the ballot.
Does this one count?
Mm. That's where all this election nonsense
actually
began. Started back then.
A good documentary about that.
But this is pure.
This is pure.
This is the player pool.
Yep.
We've got documented numbers. Mm-hmm. I'm checking Kurtis's math just on my team.
I always tell people, I say, hey, if I make a mistake, let me know. And there have been a few over the years. Hey, you didn't have that? Like there were a couple this year that were a little tricky. There were two boozers on Duke. There are two of Iviciches on
Yeah, because I put the
Illinois.
wrong, because your number was higher than mine. I'm like, what is this? I'm like, oh, I had the good Iviciches.
I thought it was Ivicic.
I had the good tall foreign guy.
I was hearing them say over the weekend, Ivicic.
Ivicic.
I thought it was Ivicic, but it's Ivicic.
How do you say Avila?
Avila. That's just how it's going to be.
It was a topic because my kids go to Catholic schools, one a Jesuit college and the other a Catholic high school. They're off today because,
that happens.
it's a 1-to-1 ratio of days in school to days off when you do that. It's great. Extra check, less school. That's how it works. And so at lunch today, the subject of ovula
Just
came
happened
up.
Just happened to
just
come up.
happened to come up.
Right.
You weren't even there.
Yeah.
And I'm taking my shots.
It just happened to come up. It's amazing how those things just happen to come up.
Guess whose side they were on?
I don't know.
Guess.
Probably mine.
Yes.
Of course.
Why don't you just stop?
Yeah, that's an excellent idea. The irony of that was that
Daughters were on Curtis's
is that
side.
you were all over me about what almost amounts to just a dialect thing when you called him Avila like 3 times, and I was like, well, it ain't that.
Yeah, but I'm not introducing a letter.
No, I'm not either.
There's no you.
Avila. If it comes out
Avila.
it's not Avila either.
Avila.
It's Avila. Now, if it sounds like I'm saying a U, that's just how my vocal construction goes from V-E-E-L. That's just how it happens. I'm not introducing a letter.
I'm going to go ask him.
I guarantee.
I'm going to record it.
And he will say, I have no idea why you're doing this.
I'm good. That's right.
If you just
it doesn't
wanna have-
matter. It's for my own
Yes.
listening pleasure.
Yes. If you find pleasure out of people saying hey, you're wrong, then continue. As the former president once said, proceed, Governor.
I don't even know what that
It
reference
was
is.
2012 presidential debate.
Okay.
Romney thought he had Obama pinned down. He goes, proceed, Governor. Proceed, because he knew he didn't.
Okay.
So I just like, proceed. Proceed, Governor.
Just keep going. You're making a mockery of yourself. Keep going. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what that was his point.
Yeah.
He knew where he was going. Wasn't going to lead anywhere. He goes, proceed.
Yeah. All right, we've got a lot coming your way today here in the program. We've got a national championship of college basketball to be decided. We're hoping that the game is better than what we saw yesterday for the ladies. 60-30 it was at one point.
Yep. End up being 29.
My house was all fired up to watch the game. They're like, okay, we're going to get things done, and I'll join you, Dad, in progress. And I'm like, don't bother. Keep on keeping on.
The 2 consensuses that I heard about that was 1, UCLA is really, really good. 2, South Carolina put everything into beating UConn. And it's hard to come back against they're a 1 seed, but so much of their season and their strategy, even in the offseason after getting rolled last year, was we got to find a way to beat this team. And they did. And then they had to try and play another great team, less than 48 hours later.
I think I feel like it was the same 4 teams back in the Final Four. It's just kind of like if Michigan and Arizona play 10 times, what are the outcomes? I don't think it's 5-5. I think it's clear Michigan is better, and I think what
7-3, 6-4 at least.
I think. Listen, I hope Bill Self is watching, right? Because the team that could 3 it, they had 108 more threes than Arizona this year. They're the team that laid the beat down.
Yeah.
And so I think Michigan is definitively the best team in college basketball. It only takes 1 game for UConn to beat them. And because they're the bane of my existence, they probably will have that game tonight. It's tough to make Michigan lovable, but Connecticut does it. I would like to see Jeff Chadilla You know, he's a Michigan guy, so I'd like that. R.I.P. our buddy Jed was a Michigan fan, so I'll think of him if Michigan gets the championship. But yeah, I think if they play that game 10 times, Michigan wins like 7.
Yeah.
And I think they're close in about 4 of them. But 3 of them, Michigan is not bothered at the end.
Mm-mm.
I mean, I think they're just definitively better. And I think all the things we've talked about, I think we saw this. I think UCLA is the best team in women's college basketball. I think they're better than UConn. Their only loss came at the hands of Texas, and it was like a fluke, like it was not supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Right? So they had a bad day against a really good team, and they took 1 loss. Right? I'd have to go back and look what the score was. But UCLA, I mean, they've got a dominant center, good guard play. I mean, I don't think that was a fluke that they won it.
No.
Right?
No.
But I did. Did you watch it?
I did.
Who was the guy who had with the call? And they returned to the top. They've never, and their first ever championship. How are you returning to the top of women's basketball if it's your first ever championship?
Yeah, they did have one of those in the 70s, when it was AIBA or something like that. Before there was an NCAA tournament, 82 was the first tournament
for women. Really?
For women, yeah.
Oh my God!
I think Texas won the first tournament, but they had won a national title before there was when it was a vote, I think. And a number of schools.
Yeah, okay. Then I rescind my.
But it's still you're returning to the top. I mean, it is a weird thing to say when they've won their first national tournament, NCAA tournament. I mean, that's a national championship to me.
Yeah.
But in college football, we've had plenty of national champions that didn't play in a national championship game. So I guess that's something similar to that. I don't know who did I didn't recognize the TV guy. The radio guy is my guy, Ryan Radke, who I think is fantastic.
I don't remember the guy's name.
I remember seeing it, but it was a guy like Ruocco or something. Ryan Ruocco.
Is he the guy who's done it the last?
He might be for ABC. Yeah,
he's been, because the guy who's done it the last few years has been pretty good, is my recollection. But anyway, I didn't have the volume up for much because it wasn't much of a game, so I can't give you. But I just at the end, I thought that was a little lock. I always like to hear the final call and what do they say and listen to the interviews and everything. Is there a takeaway from the way Michigan beat down Arizona in the sense that Arizona was the most freshman-dominated team? 4 of their top 8 minutes guys were freshmen. Is that a takeaway, that they were too freshman-oriented?
Could be. Once they got into a game like that where it was things started going poorly, and if I remember, let me look at the box score. By
minutes, Michigan's players: senior, sophomore, junior, freshman, senior, sophomore, senior.
If I remember, the freshmen were not.
3 of their top 6 are underclassmen.
Either.
Or 3 of their top 7 are underclassmen. So 4 of them are juniors and seniors. I don't know, just.
And the freshmen, I think Burries was 4 of 16. Koa Pete was 6 of 18. They didn't. I mean, nobody really shot well for Arizona. They only shot 37% from the field. But the 2 guys, the 2 freshmen, were the most. They shot easily the most shots, 16 and 18. Nobody else shot more than 8. And they were combined 10 of 34 from the field and 3 of 11 from 3. So, possible.
With the combination of Dusty May playing Dan Hurley, and we never did hear Dan Hurley's name mentioned with North Carolina, but the combination of those 2 coaches, of which North Carolina couldn't get to Tommy Lloyd. They took a run at him, and Tommy Lloyd stayed at Arizona. People thought Dusty May was going to get an offer from North Carolina. Whether he did or didn't, we don't know. But they either chose that, like, we can't get him from Michigan, or they got shot down by him. And they have settled on Mike Malone, or Mike. Mike is the coach. Mark was the quarterback.
I think Michael Malone.
Michael Malone, former Nuggets coach. Because, as you put it on Twitter, it works so well with Bill Belichick in year 1 on the football side. Why not replicate it over on the basketball side?
Such a home run. Let's just do it again.
I mean, is there, like, do all Kansas fans need to, write a handwritten letter to Bill Self, thank you for staying? Because, there's some people, if you're out there grumbling, and look, I've got my two things that I think Bill Self could do differently. I'd certainly listen to his theory on why he hasn't, but that's get more shooters and play upside guys more early, live with their mistakes, and try to advance their development faster so you can lean on them more. Although, but I just pointed out that Michigan's, really not leaning on freshmen. They've got one freshman in the mix.
But the shooting thing, I've ran some numbers comparing the two teams playing tonight in some offensive and defensive categories compared to the Big Three, and that is one of the areas where Kansas just really falls down. In fact, they're actual field goal percentage and 3-point percentage, they're worse than both K-State and Missouri were this year. They ranked worse, which is kind of amazing.
Yeah, that is amazing.
And that's not what you would normally see. Opponents, they're good on defense, but Kansas was 181 in the country in field goal percentage and 153 in 3-point percentage. And Michigan's 4 and 28, UConn's 39 and 152. They don't rely that much on it, but
I think Michigan. I think we could see a blowout here in this one too.
Yeah, they're in the top 10 or top 20 in almost everything. 4th in field goal percentage, 2nd in opponent's field goal percentage, 8th in rebounding margin. I mean, they're just a machine right now. It's going to take as good an effort as UConn has authored in the last 4 years to win tonight, I think.
Dusty May came from Florida Atlantic to Michigan. Like, what's your Kyle? You're the Kansas fan. When you watch this, Bill Self ain't going to be there for 10 years. I mean, I hope he is. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think he had that kind of thought process and on whether or not to come back to do that every year for 10 years. And I think you're going to have that at the end of each season now for as long as he coaches. What do you take away from what we're watching in the Final Four and what we're watching North Carolina go through as a blue blood trying to hire a coach?
Yeah, and the problem is Kansas fans, all they want is the best. They want the Tommy Lloyds. They want the Dusty Mays, the guys at the top of the game right now, and anything less, they're going to be pissed about.
The thing about Dusty May is it's clearly worked out, but at the time the hire was made, yes, he had taken a team on a long run to a Final Four, but he was also in that season, in that tournament, his team needed a last-second shot to win in the first round. If they don't get that shot and they're out in round one, Dusty May is not at Michigan. And that you could say that, and I don't think what he did over the next 3 weeks has made him the coach he is at Michigan now. He was probably had the same philosophies, but he got that job because he made that one long run. I would always be kind of skeptical or questionable about someone who really doesn't have that much. Now, I don't know what is maybe he's been dominant in that conference, but he primarily
that's what I was
got
just looking. Here's his finish at Florida Atlantic. Tied for ninth, fourth, tied for second, first, and then second because it was he came back. He was there for another year before he was hired, and he was second, and he went out in the first round the next year.
Yeah.
So
whisper away from back-to-back first-round exits as a high-seeded, first or second team in their conference, and he ain't at Michigan. It's one of those situations where no, yes.
Yeah.
If you're of that mindset, so I don't know. Dusty May to me is not. I don't know if he's a cautionary tale or if that could be a cautionary tale. They've won, but I think the idea that because he has led them to the national championship game and a near touchdown favorite in that game, that the key to winning a national title is to get a coach that took a mid-major to the Final Four. I think that's faulty logic.
Oh, I would agree. But I think as we watch North Carolina struggle to land a coach, like, what is the blueprint?
Exactly. Because I don't think they went into this thinking Michael Malone was the answer. Because they asked a lot of other people, apparently.
Well, and we were talking to Gary Parrish last week. We thought Billy Donovan, and if you listen to the Eye on College Basketball podcast that Parrish and Matt Norlander did, I have not listened to the one they would have done Saturday night. So I'll have to hear if they had more information. But they were talking like Billy Donovan. Although Gary Parrish did say that Billy Donovan does not like being third or fourth in line, that he had talked to people and didn't like it. Well, but Billy Donovan also announced, I'm not even considering anything until my season's over.
Yeah.
So, like, what are you just, that's kind of passive aggressive. If you're like, well, I would have taken it, but I'm the fourth call. We can't sit around and be told no after every other, like, if you want this, you want, like, I got Carolina's back on that one. If Billy Donovan's got a burr in his saddle for that one, like, come on, man. Like, what are you doing here? But, like, I will say this, like, unless Michael Malone bombs and someone's going to write him a big fat check, if Bill Self walks away next year, Billy Donovan is now sitting there. You know, I might try to get from Bill how much longer you think you're going to do this. Could I?
Yeah.
And if I were Travis Goff, I would call Billy Donovan's agent and be like, look, choice one. I heard your guy didn't like being third or fourth. He's number one on my list because I don't think I'm going to be able to pry Tommy Lloyd away. I don't think I'm going to be able to pry Dusty May away, especially after he wins a championship, I think, tonight. Not going to pry don't want Dan Hurley. I will say that. One thing I think North Carolina went, not messing with that. Like, if you see the actions, have you seen some of the videos of Carolina UConn fans taunting the Illinois fans?
Yeah, just
it's like
throwing them the double bird as they're coming down
it's like
down the escalator.
Man, has a fan base and a coach ever been more perfectly linked? A jackass fan base and a jackass coach.
Yeah.
But I think North Carolina probably went, we don't want to mess with that.
Yeah.
Dan Hurley's a brilliant basketball coach. I'm not taking anything away from his coaching, but there's a lot.
Yep.
You know, and I think there is something to be said for conducting yourself the right way. Like Gino Auriemma, we haven't even gotten to that.
Mm-hmm.
What was that? I mean, how many championships do you got to win before you can lose with class? Like the whole school. Like you think you want to know why I don't like people? Are like, I don't know, why don't you like? Is that Syracuse big rival? I'm like, no, Georgetown is. I just hate UConn. Well, here you're watching it.
Yes,
they're annoying as all get out.
And I don't know.
You're literally you're the leftover excrement of the state of New York as a state to begin with. All you are is where people go to live, that won't pay to live closer. And then you carry this
overflow,
attitude.
overflow state. And he's not. I don't know that he has the track record of that kind of stuff that Dan Hurley does, but he clearly showed himself. Well, there is some sound. We got some post-game sound we can hear later.
But he constantly he's talked down to the media all the time.
Yeah,
I mean he's always been holier than thou.
He just does. He doesn't shout and use weird. He doesn't do it quite with the same attitude that Hurley, but I can see that for sure.
Yeah.
But you know what? I love the way she responded to it. Two things. One, she wasn't scared.
No.
And her team plays like she coaches. She was like, "Excuse me?" And
can we back up? Like, I do think that I usually see the coaches shake hands.
Yeah.
Like at that point. And I don't know that they always shake before, and maybe that's something that
clearly rankled him.
It did rankle him, but get over it.
Yeah.
She had gone by and shaken everyone on the staff's hands before the game. So
it was. I stood there and waited for 3 minutes. 3 minutes? not 30 minutes. 3 minutes, and that led to just going off. And also the maybe he called her, talked to her as of yesterday after the game. She said she had not heard from him. She said, I got about 800 texts. Maybe he texted me. That's something that, to mean something, has to be a face-to-face phone call or a voice-to-voice phone call, or say something publicly. The statement that was released, that doesn't do it. You did this. I've said this is a big BMI bonnet, man. If you're going to be loud when you're wrong, be loud when, if you're
going to apologize, make the apology just as loud.
As loud. Say it with your chest, and he didn't do that. Releasing a statement and an apology is weak sauce in my book.
Yeah.
So I think he needs to do something else beyond that. And she's well within her rights to go, not accepted.
Yeah.
She won't because I think she's a person of good character, but she's not to be trifled with.
I'll go back to the Jay Billis comments from 4 weeks ago or so. Who did he cite? He cited Bill Self, and who was the other coach? who did he lump in with Bill Self? He said, it's amazing to me. I can watch these guys who don't lose very often, but whenever they do it with class, and they don't throw a tantrum in the
Might have
press
been John
conference.
Shire.
Was it John Shire?
Might have
Was it
been.
Bill Self and John Shire? He said, I can watch them thoughtfully answer questions after a loss, but then I got to, everybody else, it's like they're offended with any question that comes their way after the game. And Bill Self got one where you could tell, he didn't love it. He didn't like it.
Oh, yeah. You missed, I think you missed the earlier point.
Yeah.
It was about,
But he still handled it without demeaning
no.
The guy across, which if you're Kansas, I hope you really, as a fan base, appreciate that not only do you have a brilliant basketball coach, but you have a man who conducts himself the right way representing your university.
You have, in my opinion, the best who's ever done it from that position. I don't think there's been a coach in any level, in any sport, who has been consistently as good in the varying moments of sports in a press conference as Bill Self.
Just clear the record. He was talking about T.J. Otzelberger.
Yeah. Okay. So love to the clone fans out there.
Tej.
You got one that represents your program, not only with his ability to bench press,
To fit into a medium shirt.
but also conducts himself with class post game. So
True story.
that's impressive. I think Michigan rolls big tonight. I think they win by double digits. I have a rooting interest, so I may not be seeing it clearly, but I think Michigan wins big tonight. What do you think?
I think UConn can keep it close. I won't say they can't win, but I think the odds are heavily in Michigan's favorite, and I think if it gets off the track, obviously one direction, I don't think you have to squint to see a 15-point game. We may end up getting to the end of this thing and looking back at it and going, this is one of the best teams that's ever played. 'Cause they really have no weakness.
Well, they've been
do
over
everything.
Did they clear 90 again?
Yep, first team ever to
First 5 games?
to do 95 straight.
They
just can't. It doesn't matter. They're so efficient offensively. They just don't make. It's incredible to watch them, and it almost looks like they're not even trying at times. They obviously are, but they just do everything well.
So I like Michigan. I don't even know what the number is, but I like them to cover
6.5 right now. It went 6.5, then it went to 7.5. Now it's back down to 6.5. I think.
Well, that was one of the things. The look-ahead line was 5.5 before the games. Either way, whether it was Arizona or Michigan, and whether it was UConn or Illinois, it was 5.5 both ways.
Interesting.
And then the way Michigan won, it came in at 6.5. So like they did, take it to another level.
Exactly. And I'm not as intuitive on what the various lines are, like the line of demarcation. I know in football it's
like the 3, 7,
more
10
than
of
7,
basketball.
more than 10. I don't know what the 3, 7, 10 of basketball is.
I don't think there is one, just because there's so many 1-point
variations,
free throws and down around 3. I would think is of note. One shot,
but more than 2 possessions. Maybe that's what it is. More than 2 possessions, and it hasn't been below 6.5. That says that Vegas and those who are putting money on it feel pretty good about this one.
Yeah, but all right. So I'll take Michigan minus the points. You
Same.
Kyle?
Yeah, I can't go against Michigan.
That's the only thing that scares me. I think everybody is ready to hang their hat on Michigan.
Yeah.
And you wonder, like, okay, have they not had the bad? Usually, if you're going to win 6 in a row, somewhere you have a bad game. You have to find a way to win when you have that bad game. The only thing I would say is they do not appear to have had that game yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe they have, and I just didn't watch each one of their games all the way through.
Dan Hurley said yesterday, he said there's a specific type of game we have to play. So I think that Michigan can beat you in more than one way. I think UConn has fewer pathways to victory, and if one of those is closed off, I'm pretty sure Dusty May knows what type of game that is that Dan Hurley's talking about, and will do whatever he has to do without getting his team out of their normal game plan to make sure that doesn't happen.
They've won by 21 over Howard, 23 over SLU, 13 over Alabama, 33 over Tennessee, 18 over Arizona.
Yeah, looking to join.
I mean, I guess maybe they had a bad game against Alabama because they only won by 13. Like, if they roll Connecticut, that's the one we're going to point to.
Yep, looking to join the rare group, and I haven't updated it lately. Teams that have won all 6 games by double digits. I think the last 2 to do it were
Carolina did it.
Carolina
right?
did it in 09. I know Duke did it in 01 and Michigan in 2000. I don't know if I think UConn may have done it 2 years ago.
Michigan did it in what year?
In 2000.
Okay.
Let's see, UConn. Yes, UConn did do it in 24.
Okay. 913-810-810. Phone lines are open. We'll talk some Royals baseball when we come back. The Royals dropping 2-3 to the Brewers in kind of a weird series because of the non-raining rain out doubleheader.
Yes.
That they created for themselves on Saturday. 913-810-810. You're in the program. You listen to the program on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Is this Jack White? You can kind of tell his style.
Yeah. Well, fuzz guitar.
Disappointing episode of Saturday Night Live. You get Jack Black and Jack White. I'm expecting big things. Did not deliver.
Not good?
Nah.
Speaking of SNL, one of the more unpopular things, I think Will Forte is hilarious. Rarely have I seen something more universally panned than what they did. I think it was in between the games on Saturday night, where they had him pose as dressed up as James Naismith.
I think his Naismith commercial is funny.
Yeah, but they did a thing where they did, is it a Naismith or a No Smith? And he would toss out rules, and panel had to guess whether it was really a rule or wasn't really a rule. Is it a Naismith or is it a No Smith? And I wasn't bothered by it. I didn't really go, oh, but I was looking on Twitter that night. It was just destroyed. Few things have been more universally panned to that level as that skit. I went, wow, that was a miss.
I didn't even watch it.
I just saw part of it as I was
because I was at Mass. Watched the end of the first game in the car because you got to get there early for a spot, and then strap myself in for 2 hours and 40 minutes of Easter Vigil.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Were you there?
Big week. No, I'm lapsed.
Yeah, otherwise, normally yes,
I'm
right?
lapsed for 60 years.
913.
But yeah, I think Will Forte is hilarious. But and I love he said the commercials are great, but people did not like that skit.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and look at it.
You can't make everyone happy.
No. Speaking of which, the Royals.
It's a good segue.
Not making everybody happy. What was whoever? I was really excited about the Brewers series because I feel like the Brewers are kind of the king of the small market clubs now. You know, forever as the Rays. And I'm like, okay, great. Let's measure the Royals against the Brewers, and because they ended up playing a doubleheader, and they needed 6 innings from their bullpen. I don't think we got a fair test. Milwaukee's definitely better. I mean, we can see that, and I felt like Milwaukee was better coming in, but I wanted to see how close it was.
And they were probably going to do that even without the rain out because the guy whose name is Lewinder was going to start on Friday night had the rain not come. But putting them both in the same day, you really don't learn much about a team this early in the year. So
yeah,
to your point,
Pete, I quote Pete Rose when I used to work with him back in the day on the network, and he'd be like, I don't know why I even bother. Just give each team a win and everybody a day off. And usually that's what happens. Occasionally, when you do, it's a big deal when you sweep a doubleheader. But usually you go
it's like
1-1.
Winning 3 out of 4.
Yeah, it. So anyway, but like the offense is kind of bizarre. It's only 9 games. I'm not panicking by any stretch of the imagination, but they're not god awful offensively.
No.
I think they're disappointing, but
they're 15th in runs scored and somehow 10th in OPS.
Kyle, we have, 9 defensive positions or 8 defensive positions with the pitcher?
Yeah.
Right, not counting the pitcher. We're going to use the DH. The worst positions by OPS.
For the Royals.
Forget about not just one guy, right? There's some spots where only one guy has played it, right? But by position. Remember last year, right field, left field, disaster.
Right,
center field wasn't great, right? What are the 3 worst positions, and I'm including DH, so you get 9 choices, 3 worst positions for the Royals by OPS right now?
Shortstop, second, right field?
Shortstop is third at 560, third worst at 560. What do you got next?
Second.
Second base at 629 is, I didn't rank them all, would be fourth worst. Is it fourth worst?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so not bad, but swing and a miss on that one.
Okay, better than I thought. Let's go first base.
First base is second worst at 535. So Bobby and Vinny are third and second worst.
Let's go right field.
Right field, 665 is probably right in the middle.
Left.
Left field, 668.
Damn.
A little bit better, right there in the middle. Still not good, by the way, at 668. We're not talking 850 or something.
Well, I know it can't be center.
It's about the team average.
Higher.
Center field 1124 is by far the best.
Let's go third.
Third base, 924 is second best.
Oh, okay.
Garcia's crushing it.
Yep.
You telling me it's
Garcia.
catcher?
Catcher, 827 is third
highest.
best. Third best, right?
You got center, third. Yeah, because I'm showing pinch hitter as third. That's
Yeah,
not a position.
yeah.
So third best.
DH is worst at 437.
DH.
So your
Four
two best
for
hitters and the
33.
position that is called designated hitter. All you got to do is hit. Those are their three worst hitting positions. And like I said, 668, we're not doing any bragging at that. 629 for second base, 628, excuse me.
Yeah.
Not doing any bragging on that. But, I do feel like, if you had a 3-game series where Bobby and Vinny did this in the middle of the year, you wouldn't even notice. But because we're coming out, getting things started, it's the only numbers up on the board, it jumps at us. But
The league OPS is 693, so that many players are below the average.
yeah. But I think when those two hit, everything else around them will come up.
Yeah.
And I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that both of them are going to hit. We've got enough of a track record.
And I'd rather have a situation where this is happening. They're playing poorly. You're getting poor numbers right now, and they're still kind of scuffling by. They're
At 4-5, they're not
Yeah,
burying
no.
themselves. This is not
And-
old school Royals 1-8.
and they are 10th in baseball in OPS somehow. Then have a situation where those two are carrying them and nobody else is. It's because you wouldn't expect the bottom part to get better. You look at the situation now and go, well, the two worst things that are happening to the team are those two guys offensively, and they're probably going to improve. Now, will the others regress a little bit? Sure. I don't think the center field's going to have an 1,100 OPS for the year, but they'll have room to fall down when Witt and Pasquantino kind of find themselves. It's just kind of frustrating where it seems like that's always a slow start. We're always sitting here on around April 6th going, how come they're not hitting in those two spots?
Yeah. So I'm not worried about the offense. They've played two good teams and one bad team, then went 2-1 against the bad team, and they've gone 1-2 against the two good teams.
Yeah.
They're right where they belong. Now, I do think, when we look at the schedule, I think the White Sox are better. I think they're still bad, but I think they're better. And we mentioned this last year that you're not going 17-1 against
No.
the White Sox or whatever they did a couple of years ago in 24. Mm-hmm. And as I looked at the schedule, we'll see what the Cardinals end up being, and I'm all like, okay, it doesn't look like, because the Pirates right now are competitive. There are teams on there, and you're like, we'll see. There are going to be some cellar dwellers in there somewhere, but it does look like a more competitive schedule than it was 2 years ago. The Rockies, I think do they only have 2 games with the Rockies, I think, this year?
That makes sense. Weird little.
Yeah, some weird. I was looking at it, and I'm like, okay, well, you don't get to fatten up there. If I'm wrong, it's 3. But, they're going to have to play better baseball. But I am very optimistic that the Bats are still going to be what we thought they'd be, what Jeff Passan thought they'd be, what a lot of people, the bold and daring predictions, from other people around baseball. I read a bunch of those when we put together ours just to get ideas. There were a number of people that were kind of echoing Jeff Passan's the Royals will be a top 10 offense. I mean, there's a feeling that they're going to hit. I think that's accurate, but it's not going to happen until Vinny and Bobby hit.
No. And the weird thing on the flip side is the pitching. Now, that was a weird weekend, but the relief pitching has gone down the tubes. They're 27th in baseball in the relief pitching ERA. They're now 12th in starting pitching when they were fairly high. Now, part of that is when you have a rookie throw 3 innings and give up 5 runs in a spot start like Avila did on Saturday. That's going to affect that this early in the season. You would expect that they're going to get better at that, but the bullpen was fantastic to the first week or so, and they had a dreadful week.
I don't need to see Lewender Avila start another game.
Yeah.
I get why they did it because, the guy we'd all like to see is Bergert, but he had started on Wednesday, so he wasn't available. But one of the biggest failures, I think, and listen, there were tremendous successes during the Dayton Moore era. I want to be clear, 2 flags and a world championship. But just the inability to develop starting pitching.
Boy, howdy.
And the inability, and I think where it just costs the Royals time and time again, is when you can develop starting pitching, the guys who are floundering get shoved back to the bullpen. And my frustration with Avila not being in the bullpen right now is there's only so many bullets that pitchers have. And I'll go back to how different would it have been if the Royals were a winning club, if they had this kind of pitching and Luke Hochevar was in the organization. And he got to the big leagues, and he never had great numbers in the minor leagues. He got to the big leagues. You took him all the way to the big leagues because there's a 1-1. You told his agent and him he was going to have every opportunity to start, and he bombed. Like, how fast would they have gotten him to the bullpen, and how many more years of quality pitching could they have gotten from a guy like Luke Hochevar, who was constantly sent back out, start after start, year after year, when it was clear he couldn't do it?
Yeah.
And when he got back to the bullpen, he was tremendous.
Yes.
And you could have had
terrific.
4 years maybe of high caliber relief. Now, this is not anger and fire and brimstone. I get why, you want to exhaust the starter before you move to the reliever, but exhausting the starter, they didn't. You want to exhaust. You want the player to exhaust your patience in waiting on him to be a starter, right? You do not want to keep running him out there because you just can't find anybody else, which is what the Royals did. I'll give you another one. Brad Keller. Like, how long did we watch Brad Keller muddle? And Brad Keller screamed reliever. Inning 1, lights out. This is the night. He's going to throw. And then inning 3, I might be wrong, but that's what. Listen, I've had Brad Keller on my fantasy teams enough times. I got him this year. Okay, I've had him on my teams enough times to I felt like I would. I feel like I'm pretty in tune with how those starts would go, but he'd come out smoking. You're like, here it is, unleash the fury. Here we go, and then nope. But they kept him in the rotation. They didn't have anybody else, and so. Again, I don't know why they rained out Friday. I mean, I assume the weather report looked really bad. I know it did because I was excited. I was out in the screened-in porch, props to all weather decks, ready to see the storms. I love watching the thunderstorms. Love being outside in the thunderstorms.
I love your screened-in porch.
And I didn't get it. I do on my screened-in porch. And so I get it. I was ready for some rain, and I was ready to watch the game and have the storm roll in. You didn't get that either. But anyway, that was frustrating. But I just let's get him in the bullpen. Let's focus on what the weapons are that he's going to have in the bullpen and get him to the bullpen.
Yeah,
that was genuinely frustrating to me because you could see the spin on the breaking balls he was throwing, but they were up. They were all up. And it's like, okay, I see that's a pretty tight spin. What the hell do I know? But I'm like, okay, it looks like, but it's not going down. They're just smacking it. Like,
he looked far sharper in the WBC, and
yeah.
And if you want to compete this year, the back of that bullpen right now is worrisome. If you're the Royals,
Very.
Lewinder would be a weapon back there right now.
And I was all excited about the spring numbers, and I will always caution everybody: spring numbers are worthless. Of Mason Black, and he's off to kind of a slow start in the minors. They can't even get their freaking A team. The high A, not Columbia, but the
Quad City.
Quad City. They can't even get them on the field. They were rained out, and then it's listed as DNP field conditions.
Wow.
Does anybody have a fan we can blow on the field? Like what? Like it's still soggy and wet. They were on the road. I don't even know whose park it was.
They're playing at Coleman Park in Raytown.
Good Lord, I have no idea. I'm like, what? Like, let's get these guys. I'm like, Blake Mitchell. What's Blake Mitchell done? Hadn't even played. Shields. What's he thrown? Hadn't even played. I was getting ready for my Kaufman Corner podcast with David Lesky yesterday, and I'm like, I don't even have anything to look up here. Like, that's when I realized they haven't even played.
They have a 3-2 ball field they could go play at.
I don't know. 913-810-810. You're in the program. All right, wrapping up hour number one here in the program. We're going to talk some Chiefs football. Matt Derrick is going to be with us. We'll get into the fact that no discipline for Rashee Rice. Has the Kyrie Elam thing been made official yet? I don't think it has.
I don't believe so.
It's supposed to happen, but we'll get his thoughts on that. A couple of visits happening for your Kansas City Chiefs. Arvell Reese coming in. Mekhi Lemon coming in for visits. What does this mean? We haven't really talked about Arvell Reese. Like,
No.
It's always been kind of the thought process that he's going to go higher than the Chiefs would have him, and maybe
Most
this
had
is
him
just doing
2
their
or 3.
Yeah, just doing their due diligence here. But does he fit the mold of a Steve Spagnuolo edge, or are you going to actually play him at off-ball linebacker? Like, that's kind of the dilemmas. What is he? Everyone thinks he's good, but they're not sure what he is. Anyway, we'll talk about that with Matt Derrick, publisher of Chiefs Digest. That's coming up next. 2-minute drill in the 4 o'clock hour. Greg Gurley talking some hoops in the 5.
All right, in the last 40 years, how many players have scored 30 points in a national championship game and lost? Brought to you by Twin Peaks.
Loves his 80s music, too, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So we like to play a little.
80s ballads.
Yeah, loves those power ballads. Who doesn't? Matt Derrick and his power ballads brought to you by our friends at Gann Asphalt and Concrete. I don't know if they love being associated with that, but I'm going to do it anyway. Great folks at Gann for more than 30 years solving parking lot problems. The concrete and asphalt season are underway. Get booked right now. Call Gann Asphalt and Concrete and get your bid. Secure your spot before the big rush comes piling in. April, they really start taking orders. So get in right now. Parking lots, curbs, striping, asphalt, concrete work of all kinds. They do it. They're the company you can trust. Get your bid and get started today. Go to GannAsphalt.com. That's GannAsphalt.com.
Actually, I know for a fact Russell Hitchcock, he said he loves Gann. They did a parking lot at one of his recording studios.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Is that the guy who sings that song?
Yeah,
I'm
he's
guessing?
the lead singer.
The lead singer. Okay,
So-
good to know. Matt, how are you, buddy?
I am doing pretty well, Soren. How about yourself today?
Doing pretty good. Let's start with the news. Dexter Lawrence has requested a trade from the New York Giants. What would you give to get Dexter Lawrence after he leaves behind the dead cap? He'd basically be counting $18.5 million this year on the Chiefs cap. I can't remember. Signing bonuses stay behind, but I think restructure goes with you. So maybe that'd be more like 21. I think the restructure bonus number goes with the player, if I'm not mistaken. So $21 million this year and about 18 and change next year. What would you give for Dexter Lawrence if you're the Chiefs, or would you not mess with it?
I mean, you could mess with it and everything, but, when you got a deal like that, I mean, there's a couple parts to it. I mean, one, Dexter Lawrence wants out because he wants more money, and he's going to want a new deal as soon as he gets there. So I don't even know if the dead money really, matters that much, because you're going to have to pay him and rework that contract almost immediately anyway. So I would have to calculate into the cost. That was one of the benefits of like the Sauce Gardner deal, was that deal was so new and everything, and he just getting paid that, you had to pay for what the money the Jets were going to be keeping back and everything. That's why it cost the Colts, 2 first-round picks. But, in this case, I mean, I imagine that's what the Giants would want. I think they would probably want 2 first-round picks. If you're a team that's acquiring him, you can't give that up. But
there's no way they would get 2 first-round picks.
It's going to take at least a first. I mean, a first plus. I mean, and hey, if you want to do it right now, I mean, the Giants, they would want 9 and something else. I mean, I don't think that would be the end of it.
I don't think I know Trent McDuffie brought that. I brought a first plus. Sauce Gardner brought a couple of firsts. Sauce Gardner brought a couple of firsts because he was leaving a lot of the money behind and made it cheaper for the Colts. But man, if that's what they want, good luck. I'm not giving that up if I'm the Chiefs or anybody else for a guy who's going into his 29-year-old season.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I mean it's a big cost. I mean, and if you don't want to pay a guy who's going to be into his 30s either, I mean, I think that there's probably going to be a big disconnect between what the Giants hope that they can get and what teams are willing to pay. But again, it only takes one to go crazy, and if there's one team that thinks that's the missing piece and they're willing to take it on and then probably give him a new contract as well. I mean, we've seen it happen before, Soren.
Yep, we have. Listen, if the price, I'd be interested if we're talking a lower pick, but I'm not giving up a first-round pick for a player that's 29 years old, and I'm going to have to pay top-of-the-market money. But, it's interesting. Kick the tires, see what they're asking for, see what happens. Do you think, let's get the Rashee Rice thing out of the way. He's been cleared by the league office that there's going to be no discipline in the that comes with the accusations and the, I guess, what is it, a civil suit from his ex-girlfriend. Okay, that's out of the way? Or do you think does this clear the way for the Chiefs to maybe be talking about a contract extension with Rashee Rice? Or do you think the fact that they've had to deal with this, whether he's going to be, punished or not by the league, is enough for them to say no?
Yeah, I mean, it's a situation like this is that you kind of just wonder what is going through the mind of Rashee Rice and kind of what he needs and what he wants. I mean, there's been obviously a lot of speculation about the fact that Rashee Rice just doesn't have a lot of money. I mean, you look at the judgments that he's had in Texas in those cases and what he's had to pay and what he's expected to pay, and he's obviously had one of his lawyers already sue him, and it's probably a legal maneuver a little bit to get fees covered under insurance and some of those claims and everything like that. So take it with a grain of salt. But at the same time, I mean, he's probably broke. I mean, you look at those judgments and everything. So could he use money now sooner than later? Sure. Is he willing to sign? And I compare it to the 2019 situation with Tyreek Hill and kind of a similar case. And he ended up signing an extension with the Chiefs. Now, granted, that got deal done in September, right before the beginning of the season. But is he willing to sign a deal that maybe is going to give up a little bit of money in exchange for at least some guarantee, and also maybe give up a little bit of the guarantee, knowing that Tyreek Hill contract was basically essentially a 2-year deal that the Chiefs could get out of at almost any point if something went sideways. I don't know if Rasheed's willing to do that. I mean, you get the sense that if he thinks that he can make it through this year and hit free agency, that he can get a bigger payday. I'm just not sure that's the case either. We know that there were a lot of teams that were not going to draft Rashee Rice because of his red flags. I imagine that the number of teams that are no longer interested in Rashee Rice has probably only increased because of the off-the-field issues and questions. So, how much markets are going to be? I don't know if Rashee Rice and his camp really appreciates that. I still get the sense that if the Chiefs could get a very favorable team deal, that they might consider doing something with Rashee Rice, but it would have to be very favorable. It wouldn't be something that's just you're going to look at that and think, oh, it's a good side for both deal for both sides. You're going to look at it and say, oh, that's a great deal for the Chiefs, and it's going to be good for Rashee Rice if he, keeps his nose clean.
Yeah.
That's about the only deal that I think that he could get. And honestly, I mean, if the Chiefs are willing to offer it, I think he should sign it. I don't know that he's going to be getting, even if he goes out and has a great season this year, I don't know if there's a big bag of money that's going to be available in the off season. I think he's got to put together a couple of clean years before teams are going to be willing to take a chance on him.
What's the career year of Rashee Rice look like, or have we already seen it?
I mean, the Chiefs think there's a lot more there, and we'll see if, last year takes a little bit of the tarnish off. But, going into the 24 season, I mean, the Chiefs felt like, hey, this is a guy that could probably be they felt that he was absolutely a number one receiver in the category of this is a guy that can get you, 100 yards a game consistently, put up 1,700-yard season. They felt like he was that kind of guy. Is he still that kind of guy? I don't know. I mean, I think that.
Well, let me ask you this:
the luster off.
Yeah, let's back up. Do you think they still think that?
I still get the sense that they think he's a number one receiver, but just not maybe that good as a number one receiver. I think they probably expect that his numbers would be down a little bit, but I also still think that they think he's a 1,000-yard receiver, that he can still be that kind of guy.
Yeah, but I don't think maybe it's semantics. I don't think a 1,000-yard receiver is a number one receiver. I think of a number one receiver as like 1,512. Like that's like not everybody has a number one receiver. There are. I'd have to sit and look at it, but I don't know. I'm guessing somewhere between 6 and 12 real number one receivers. Like, I definitely don't think he's one of those guys. Do you?
I mean, I do think he's got that potential, and I think he's still young. I mean, there's still some ceiling. There's just no doubt. I mean, he's just he is still immature, and that extends not only off the field but on the field. I think you still see little tiny youthful mistakes, and there's I don't think that he necessarily puts 100% into every single route, into every single play. I think that's hurt the offense at times. It's probably hurt him at times. If the ball's not designed to go his way, I think you see that he doesn't always finish, and if a play breaks down, you don't always see him running to try and get open and make plays. Those are youthful mistakes, and I feel like they should have been, coached out of him at this point. And then you get to the question, hey, is he completely coachable? Is he taken to it? And there are still knucklehead tendencies that you see from this guy on the field. So I don't know, Soren. I mean, I saw him still do last year some things that you feel like in year 3 that he shouldn't be doing. But then at the same time, there's an enormous talent there. There's no doubt about it. I mean, that is the kind of guy that you get the ball in space and you feel like that he could probably take the ball the distance anytime he gets the ball.
I see more.
Yeah, I object to that whole premise.
just the physical part of it. Like, do I think he has the physical talent to be a one? I could see that, but it depends on what you mean by potential. But to me, potential takes everything into account, and the fact that he's still this far into his career and still is having these issues, and the fact that he's had the off the field stuff, that is part of potential. And to me, I mark down what someone can potentially be based on all the factors, even if their physical, if their football skills or whatever sport they're playing are first rate.
I mean, I see what he did, before the injury, his rookie year, and even the first 3 games of year 2, and you look at what he did. I mean, and those were the numbers of a number 1 receiver. I mean, that was a guy that was on pace to be putting up 1,500 yards over a full season, and
for about 5 games. Like I can't stress enough how the legend of his rookie season has become Paul Bunyan-esque. I mean, he had 79 catches. By the way, are you running a grocery store while you're talking to us? Where the hell are you, man?
I did get caught into a restaurant. I thought I was going to be out of here before our hit, but unfortunately, my luncheon ran a little long. I apologize.
Oh, okay. I just didn't know. I was like, holy cow. But 79 for 938. Right, I know he finished hot, but like it's become like, this is. And then he had a good start the next year, 4 games, 24 for 288. But somehow that's been pooled into this. Well, if you prorate that out over this, okay, I get it. But if I cherry pick the best games or the best stretch of anyone's career, it's going to prorate out to something special. How about the fact that he's now been here for 3 seasons in Kansas City, and he has 156 catches for 1,800 yards? I mean, if you prorate it out to games, he's played 28 games, and he has 1,800 yards. I mean,
water for everybody.
And that's not good.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think that's a fair point. And you do have to factor in, obviously, the injury. That's not a part of his. I mean, that's just bad luck. I mean, I don't think that's going to be. Some guys we know get hurt repeatedly. I don't think that's necessarily the case in this situation. There's no long injury history, and the suspension, it's a self-owned. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Last year, he was not the same guy that you saw before the injury, and that's to be expected. I mean, especially with a knee injury like that, it was very similar to an ACL, maybe even a little bit worse than what an ACL would be. And you saw that I don't think he was the same guy. You look at his numbers, you look at his next-gen stats as far as separation, his speed, all across the board. I mean, everything was generally about 20% off and from what it was pre-injury. And you're banking on that being him returning, that if he can return to the pre-injury level, that's a different guy. Because I look at it, and the same thing. You kind of see that sample size and 3 years and not big aggregate numbers. I look and see, okay, that stretch, and it's not just saying it's 5 games. I'm saying you look at those 3 games at the beginning of 2024, and even you pair it with his last 14 games of 2023. That's a full season of a guy putting up number 1 receiver numbers. And I just saw a guy that for those first 21 games of his regular season career, that was a guy that was just getting better and better in each chunk of games. You want to break down the four game segments. Each 4-game segment was better than the previous 4. He kept getting better, and at the end of it, I mean, that was a guy that in that beginning of the 2024 season looked like that he was going to be a dominant receiver that year. Can he get back to that level? If he can, that is a weapon. That is something that the Chiefs absolutely need. Can I guarantee that he's going to get to that level? No, nobody can.
Listen, I was big on Rashee Rice that rookie year. I predicted that he would lead the team in yards, but I'm not sure where everybody has decided that this is Justin Jefferson. I mean, he's what was his 40 time? What did he 4.55? Like, how's everybody got him? 4.51 was his 40-yard dash. I mean, and yet this is like the guy that's going to, and not that you can't play. I mean, you can play slow and fast for your 40 time, but I just don't. I don't see that. I see a number 2 receiver. I don't think he runs the whole route pattern. Now, maybe that's on the offense. Maybe we're going to see Andy Reid and really give him more to do and more routes to run, and we'll see more from him. But I see a guy who's just a glorified slant and bubble screen guy. Like, I don't see a guy who's running a 20-yard out or he's got one go route, and that wasn't even called for him. That was like a legend about how, he read it, and he took it deep. It's probably the only reason he was open is because none of the play was designed for him to do that, and he ended up catching it. I just don't see this all-around talent that I guess everybody else does.
Yeah, and and what kind of receiver he's going to be is a big question because, like you mentioned, I mean, perception is that he's probably a better slot receiver than he is on the outside as an X. And last year he was used about 50-50 as far as being in the slot versus being on the outside. And I'm not sure that he ever really showed any rhythm last year in doing that. Although at the same time, I mean, that offense didn't have any rhythm, and he certainly didn't look like the same guy that he had been before the injury. So, again, you factor that into it. But I still don't know after 3 years we do know exactly what kind of receiver he is and what his best skill set is. And like I said, I mean, I'm still faulting him for some of his follow-through that he's had throughout his career, and last year especially, of just finishing plays and being there and being available for his quarterback. I mean, you didn't always see that. That's effort, and sometimes you can be coached up to get better at that. Some guys can't. Some guys are always going to be that way, and I don't know still. And I think that the jury's out. Is that level of performance you saw early on, was that just there as a rookie year because he was the only option, that was the only guy that they had to throw the ball to? They didn't have any other places to go except for Kelsey, and he just kind of benefited from that. Or was that legitimately, I mean, this is a guy that can beat just about any coverage. I mean, he obviously had some success against zone that season that the coaches really liked. Didn't seem to show it as much last year, but I still don't know. Like I said, I still don't know what last year. I don't know if that's the same guy that we're going to see this year. If it is, and that's one of the reasons why I'm here to the Chiefs. I mean, I think you would prefer to wait. I don't think that you're trying to sign him to a contract right now. I think you want to see him get out there on the field for OTAs and probably camp and see what kind of a guy he is this year. Is he faster? Is he stronger? Is he more back from that knee injury? Because if he's not, and he's the same guy you saw on the field last year, no, I'm probably not even thinking about signing him to a long-term deal.
Matt Derrick is with us here in the program. Visit scheduled with Arvell Reese and Mekhi Lemon in this draft. Let's talk about Reese. I mean, seemingly they would have to trade up. That's become a popular theme that maybe Brett Veach at 9 isn't good enough that he would move up. What are your thoughts on, one, who he'd be moving up for, if he would, and how likely do you think that scenario could be?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly seems like Arvell Reese. I mean, if you want to get that guy, you probably got to go up to number 2, and I don't think that's in the cards. I'm not sure they got the capital and the wherewithal to go do that. But it does show, especially when you throw Mekhi Lemon in there and some of the other guys they're bringing in for 30 visits. I mean, they're looking at the field. It certainly feels like that they're exhausting all the options that might be available there at 9. I'm not even sure, though. There's some guys, like, I think they've seen enough from Ruben Bain. I'm not sure they wouldn't even need to bring him in for a 30 visit. I think they're in love with what they've seen and heard from that guy already. So it wouldn't surprise me if they didn't bring him in. And that's also, it's been kind of a Brett Veach trademark in the past, is that he does sometimes, disguise the guys he's most interested in by not making real visible plays for them and not making that real visible, who they're targeting and everything. So I do get the sense, though, that, I mean, they're looking at everything at that 9th pick. And I know last week Brett mentioned that, hey, receiver, corner, edge rusher are the top 3, and I think that's pretty obvious. The only other takeaway from that, as I get from Brett, is that, he would prefer to spend that first-round pick, that early one, the 9th pick. Even if you trade up, he wants to spend it on a premium position. I don't get the sense that he's necessarily looking at taking a safety or a tight end or an interior lineman, anything like that. I mean, I get the sense that he's looking at taking a premium position, and the fact they didn't mention offensive tackle. I mean, it was either a great smokescreen, or he's just acknowledging what those of us locally believe, but no one nationally seems to believe, is that they're not interested in taking an offensive tackle at 9.
Yeah, I listen. It's a premium position, at least. If it fits that bill.
It's a premium position. It's the only premium position, really, that he didn't mention.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to trade up. But I mean, I also am not sure that I agree with the idea that Arvell Reese is going to go 2. Because what is he? He's an undisciplined pass rusher, right? Like I think everybody agrees that he's raw at that. He's just tremendously athletic. And so it's not like he brings a toolbox of skills there. He's just a great athlete. And like I don't think you're going to draft an off-ball linebacker, which is the dilemma that was there with I think Andre Carter went, what did he go, 2 or 3 last year? Because Micah Parsons had such success, but Micah Parsons went 11 or 12 or somewhere in that range. I mean, I'm not sure you can just decide that Arvell Reese is going to be all that. I'm not as sold on. Maybe I'm wrong, and Steve Spagnuolo looks at him and goes, exactly what I want on the edge. But he's not extraordinarily long. He's kind of at 6'4". He's average-ish height, not short at all, but the arm length is under 33 inches and everything. So I'm like, okay, he's a tremendous athlete. There's no doubt about it. But I'm not sure he should be like if he is a lock to go 2 or 3 in this draft. I think it speaks a little bit more about this draft.
Oh, I think it speaks a whole lot about this draft. And I thought, the other part of Brett Veach's remarks last week at the owners' meetings I thought were especially intriguing was when he said that this is a unique draft, and hey, if their pick was number 2, it'd be like he could definitely tell you who it was going to be. That to me was Brett Veach saying in as many words as he felt like he could that this is a terrible draft. I mean, you're just not going to get somebody at 9 that you're just feeling like is a slam dunk first rounder. I mean, I even look at some of the talent in this year's draft and look at last year's draft, and it's like, gosh, there were guys that I think went around 20 last year that would probably be top 10 players this year. It's just not a very deep draft at the top. I think there's going to be a lot of other value going on, but again, you look at you don't have the early entry numbers that you've had in the past. You've got more guys staying in college to make NIL money, and it's hurting the first round. I don't think this is that great at all. And you mentioned with Arvell Reese, if he goes high, why will he go high? And it's going to be because there's some team that sees that they think he's a 3-4 edge that they can play, and again, Soren and I always say, hey, there's a reason why teams are usually picking at the top of the draft every year, and it's because they can't get these picks right. That says it right there. I mean, if you're taking Arvell Reese because you think that he's going to be an edge rusher, that's probably why you're going to be picking in the top 10 next year too.
And I wonder, to me, there's a distinction between who you would take if you were at 2 and who you would move up to 2 to get. And Reese might be a guy that if you're sitting there at 2 and he fits your need, he's a fine pick. But to go from 9 to 2, the draft capital that would take it better be for somebody better than Arvell Reese.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it would need to be a pure edge rusher, or I'm not sure you'd trade up there to go that high to get a wide receiver, especially in this class.
I think it'd need to be a quarterback. Like the second
sure
best
there's anybody in this draft that you go up that high. 7 maybe, but 2.
Yeah, I don't see the trade up happening, right? And I think the Arvell Reese, I can see Arvell Reese making it to 9, and I feel a lot better about picking him at 9 than I would about trading up for him. But I also think it might be like, well, let's make it clear that we like the player, and so that if he does make his way down, and somebody wants to come up and get him, then we've made it clear that we like him.
Casey's hot for Reese. We better give them something.
We're gonna have to come up and give him something because they will take him. They brought him in for an interview. I think that's part of it as well. So, who in this draft do you think is a Pro Bowler? It's going to be a regular in the Pro Bowl.
The more and more I look at it, I will admit, even though I'm usually Mr. Don't touch undersized guys or anybody who's got some measurable deficiencies, but I've been won over a long time ago by Reuben Bain. I'm not worried about the arm length as much. If it was offensive tackle, I'd be a little more worried about the arm length than at edge. And I get the reasons why you'd like a guy that's got at least 33-inch arms there, but his bend, his size, as the rest of it, the strength. It's a good fit. I mean, he manages he's got good body control, and you see the production on the field. And I think I've seen the interviews, and I understand now why teams fall in love with him after they have done their interviews with him and everything. He seems like a smart kid, high football IQ. So I get why people like him. He makes a lot of sense. If the Chiefs go another direction, I think Mekhi Lemon is probably a Pro Bowler and All-Pro type caliber player. He looks like to me like the most polished receiver coming out. He could probably play multiple positions, which the Chiefs like to, obviously. That guy, I think, is the most complete. And I mean, even with the linebackers, I mean, there are people who tell you that Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles might be the two best players in this draft. I mean, I look at Styles and I'm like, this guy has almost the same measurables as Leo Chenal and 2 inches taller, but he didn't put up the production that Leo put up in college, even though they were playing pretty similar positions. And I get that he's probably a better pass defender than Leo was, and that's why maybe he might be a full-time guy in the NFL. But there's a lot of guys in this draft. I just look at them and think, okay, well, those would be really solid picks if you're able to get them in the second round. And these are going to be first-round guys this year because it's just not that deep.
Matt Derrick, you're the man. We appreciate the time. We will talk with you again next week.
Sounds great, my friend. Take care.
The program with Soren Petro.
You stand next to me and go, wow, this is a big guy.
Weekdays from 2 to 6 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Listen, I don't know about you, but a company that's been in business for more than 20 years, that's locally owned and operated, means something to me. That's Applause Custom Sight and Sound, Kansas City's best. When it comes to smart home technology, in-home theaters, listen, when you want the best, you call the best. You call Applause Custom Sight and Sound. 913-498-1183. That's 913-498-1183. You can find them on the web at applausetheater.com. Listen, Applause was in my old house, and they were the first folks I called when we were moving. We knew we wanted state-of-the-art smart home technology. It just makes everything so much better. It's really cool. They do an incredible job. Their craftsmanship is excellent. Their customer service is excellent. And, of course, their knowledge of the tech, it's unbelievable. Always on the cutting edge of technology. But like I said, that craftsmanship is huge as well. It's great if you understand all the gadgets. I don't understand how everything works, but they do. But if it looks like crap, that's terrible. Applause, everything looks perfect. I like to bring people back and show them the little closet area we've got where all the wiring comes down to. It looks like a NASA, like they're sending somebody to the moon. Applause work looks like they could send somebody to the moon. They're absolutely the best. So if you want the cutting edge of smart home technology, if you want smart office technology, that's right, more and more of the work they do is for offices, in-home theaters, surround sound, security and surveillance. That's the latest thing we added. When you build it right the first time with Applause, adding on, evolving with technology becomes so easy and cost effective. In the long run, they're going to save you money. Call Applause today at 913-498-1183. Find them on the web at applausetheater.com. From rocket fast Wi-Fi to in-home theaters, they do it all. It's Applause Custom Sight and Sound. Online at applausetheater.com.
The road to the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship ends tonight. The Connecticut Huskies, a 2-seed, earned the right to play in their third title game in 4 years with a win over Illinois on Saturday. They'll face the remaining 1-seed Michigan thanks to their dominating win over Arizona. It'll be the Wolverines' first championship game since 2018. Make sure you don't miss any of the action tonight.
All right, the Twin Peaks end of the hour answer. In the last 40 years, how many players have scored 30 points in a national championship game and lost? I will tell you 7 players have scored 30 points in a national championship game in that stretch. How many have lost?
Ooh. You know what? 30 in a national championship game and lose.
Yeah, 7 have done it in the last 40 years. How many have lost?
1.
2.
Okay.
1 recent, 1 not so recent. The most recent player to score 30 points in a championship game was Zach Edey, who threw 37 in a 15-point loss to Connecticut 2 years ago. The other, John Morton, who threw up 35 for Seton Hall against Michigan in an overtime loss in 1989. The others, Dante DiVincenzo of Villanova, who's the only one to do it coming off the bench. He had 31 against Michigan. Miles Simon, Arizona against Kentucky in the national championship game in 97. Ed O'Bannon against Arkansas in the national championship game in 95. Glenn Rice of Michigan against Seton Hall. So both those guys, he had 2 guys go for 30 in that game. And Danny Manning against Oklahoma in 88. So winners, Manning, Rice, O'Bannon, Simon, DiVincenzo. Losers, John Morton, Zach Edey.
Pretty good question.
Not bad. Not
I like
bad.
that. I didn't remember Zach Edey going for 37.
I didn't either, probably because they were beaten so bad. Dan Hurley just said, look, if Edey wants to score 40, let him. We're not letting the guards beat us.
Which speaks to the...
And they had the height. They had the size of the guards. That's one of the things that made them so good in those two championship runs was the size of their perimeter players. They're so hard to shoot threes against.
Well, they also had a 7-foot center, too, didn't they?
What is his name?
Was it first-round pick?
Donovan Clingan.
Yeah, a first-round pick.
They decided, hey, we're going to let Zach Edey eat. You're not hitting threes against us tonight. And it worked. 37 from Edey. They lost and UConn won by 15.
Yeah. I hope we get a good game tonight. I don't think we're gonna. I take that back. I'm not hoping for a good game tonight. I'm hoping for Connecticut to get bombed. But I think Dan Hurley can coach.
By the way, Petro in that game, 1 of 7 from 3. 1, 3, just 7 attempts because they couldn't get a clean shot.
Well,
I don't think he has the kind of defensive play. He didn't have that group of guys this year. In fact, what is their opponent's 3-point percentage is ranked 152, a little better than middle of the pack. So they don't have quite that same team.
No, but
which is the reason why. But they're a 2 seed, and they
they don't have. They're not nearly the offensive team they were. Their defense is their calling card in this one, and that's another reason why I don't think they're going to get there. But stupid Duke couldn't get it done. How about that? When you actually put in a spot to root for Duke,
that terrible.
Then they don't come through.
You've had to root for Duke and Michigan.
I don't mind Michigan near as much. The Duke thing was annoying. To be rooting for Duke and have that not come home.
That is a dynamic that has never ever entered into my psyche.
What's that?
Rooting for the against the behemoth.
You why do you always root for the big favorite or no, you just don't bother to have a rooting interest?
It doesn't make me root less for them. I kind of like it's like when the traditional powers, I'm okay with that. I don't root for them or against them. The only traditional power I root against is Kansas, and it has nothing to do with the fact that they're a traditional power. It's that they're the number 1 rival of the team that I've liked since I was a kid. If I was from East Coast or West Coast, I'd probably be cool with Kansas. Yeah, go ahead, Jayhawks.
Well,
rock and roll.
I always get as soon as I'll be like, "Hey, Mom, are you gonna watch this game?" Well, who are we rooting for? She immediately wants to know, and whoever I'm rooting for, she's for that team. God bless her. She's in.
All right.
Who are we rooting for? Well, not Connecticut. That's the first rule, right?
Mama Pet will be draped in maize and blue tonight.
Yes.
Her heart will be maize and blue.
Yes, she will be rooting for Michigan because we do not want Connecticut to win. That's absolute. All right. I want to go back to trading up.
Mm-hmm.
How much should we fear that that's actually a possibility for your Kansas City Chiefs?
I think we should.
I say fear because I don't like trading up.
Exactly.
And I don't see the player. I think Maui Goa might be the guy that is the trade up. I wouldn't even trade up for Fernando Mendoza. Like, I don't even think if you're, if the Raiders had a quarterback, I wouldn't be giving up. I mean, he's Jared Goff, who's been a fine quarterback, but like it all looks good. But when you were watching Fernando Mendoza, were you like, whew, look at this guy? I mean,
yeah.
And I can say the same thing about Carson Palmer. Like, I think he'd be a fine quarterback, but I don't think you're getting John Elway, Patrick Mahomes, Peyton Manning.
In fact, there's at least considerable thought that he won't take him, but that actually Ty Simpson fits the Raiders' scheme or what they want to do maybe even better. He's not going to go 1-1, but that he might be a better fit for their offense. I heard at least one person say that today. It may have been Dan Orlovsky, so I don't know how much I have to.
I would take that with a massive grain of salt, as we pointed out.
Yes.
Ty Simpson is getting a lot of love from Dan Orlovsky and from Mike Tannenbaum on ESPN. The agent for Ty Simpson, CAA. The agent for Mike Tannenbaum and Dan Orlovsky.
There you go.
CAA.
Yeah. As you said, for a long time, we don't just study the teams, we study the media. You got to know where everything about where the information's coming from. That's a good example.
I'll quote a couple of friends that are in the media that are, I'll let them speak for themselves if they want it out. I don't know if they want to do this, but they were trading barbs about the fact that Adam Schefter basically tweeted out that Chicago, the Bears want Arlington Heights, but if they don't get it passed, they're going to Indiana. Well, yeah. Why are you tweeting this? We all know this. Yeah. Like, basically, this is their ultimatum. The Bears have got the ESPN NFL insider guy doing their bidding. Here, make sure they know. If you don't vote for our thing, here, tweet this out. Like, is that news?
Not really.
Yeah. So
that's propaganda.
Well, that's the price you pay if you want all the.
Yep.
If you want teams to reach out and tell you when they do things. Most of that stuff comes through the agents, but there's some of it that comes through the teams as well.
I mean, you see, anytime you get someone who's the particulars on on a deal, college or pro, you'll always see the agent's representative or their organization in the tweet because that's how they got it. They want to get that name out there so that any prospective players go, oh, he got them that deal. Now I know who to go to.
Oh, yeah, I better sign with them. Yeah,
but you're going to put my name in the tweet. Okay.
I don't see a trade up. I think Arvell Reese being in there is just – I think there's a better chance that he slides to 9 than there is that the Chiefs trade up anywhere to get him.
I think you always have to think about a trade up, and with 2 picks, it isn't just do you trade up from 9. Could they trade 29 and something else and move up to 20 to get something similar to what they did when they went up to get McDuffie? Could they execute that kind of a move and still stay at 9? I don't know. That's always possible. I think that's more of a possibility than going up from 9. What do you think?
What, to get that Reese will be there?
No. To
somebody else.
That the Chiefs might trade 29 and something else to move up to 20 while staying at 9. I think that maybe is more of a possibility.
I think that's more of a possibility as well. I will say this. I had not spent a lot of time looking at Arvell Reese. Not that I do tape studies. I was watching the tape. Oh, you're watching the same 7-minute highlight video I'm watching that somebody put out there on YouTube. Come on, settle down.
Unless you've been to all the games, you don't have tape.
The Buckeyes are sending you all their game tape? Okay. But I hadn't really watched any of those until the Chiefs brought him in for a visit. He's pretty impressive. I mean, I'm like everybody else. I don't know what the hell he is, but he's a hell of an athlete. I give you that much.
The program with Soren Petro.
What's with your sour look?
This is my face.
Weekdays from 2 to 6 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Let me tell you something. If that drain won't drain, if you can't do a load of laundry, if you can't get in the shower, listen, ain't nobody going to be happy. The Plumbing Pro, that's who we call. The one to know is the Plumbing Pro. Listen, locally owned and operated in Kansas City since 1980. We're talking about a great Kansas City company. Steve and his team are still the people you call. Listen, there are a lot of other companies that you'll recognize the name like, oh, that name's been around for a while. But do your research. You'll find that they're actually owned by some out-of-town company. They sold out years ago. Not the Plumbing Pro. These are Kansas City plumbing experts. They're experts in anything you need. Listen, maybe it's even something like, I don't know, renovating that shower and tub area. That's something we just did with the Plumbing Pro. It was phenomenal. We needed shelving. We needed to modernize our tub and shower area, and they did a phenomenal job. Listen, they're local folks right here. And if you want your tub or shower, that bathroom area brought up to speed, go ahead. Let them know you want the Petro deal. That's right. You can get $2,000 off a new tub or shower replacement right now when you call the Plumbing Pro. Don't wait. Call 816-763-8200 or go online to theplumbingpro.com. Listen, they handle complete plumbing service. Everything. Sewer, septic, drain installation, repair. The guys at the Plumbing Pro really know their business. They're absolute experts. They do the biggest jobs with backhoes and big heavy equipment, but they'll do the smallest job as well. They're happy to help you out. They're a great Kansas City company. Let Steve and his team go to work for you the way they've gone to work for me time and time again. When you need a plumber, call the experts. Call the Plumbing Pro at 816-763-8200. Find them online at theplumbingpro.com. Again, that's theplumbingpro.com.
Low testosterone can be a real problem for many men. It causes poor sleep patterns, decreased energy, low sex drive, and it makes it really hard to stay in shape. And as we all know, a healthy body is very important to our overall health and well-being. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and if some or all of these symptoms sound like you, we can likely help you be done with low T. We can also help you lose weight, support your metabolism, improve your gains in the gym, and more with our new targeted body composition plans featuring GH peptides, NAD+, GLP-1s, PDA, and more. Our low T protocols, applied in conjunction with our body composition plans, will help most men see real improvements, true weight loss, higher energy, improved sleep, stronger workouts, and a renewed sex drive as well. Your initial visit is just $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. And if you start on treatment the same day, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com.
Featured therapies are compounded and have not been evaluated nor approved by the FDA. Provider prescription required. See website for details.
Paid for client portrayal and endorsement.
Do you like the mock drafts?
I do. I love the mock drafts.
I love the mock drafts. Pete Prisco just put out one today.
Mm-hmm.
Always just like to see where they got the Chiefs going at
Especially
9.
when it's at 9.
Huh?
Especially when it's at 9. It's like, ooh, who is it?
At 9, is it Mansour or Mansour?
I will check.
Delane. They have a glaring need at corner, and Delane would be an immediate starter. They could go receiver here, but I think this is a must for them in the first round. I don't think it's a must. That's what he's got at 9. Down at 29, Mekhi Lemon, all the way down at 29. Wide receiver, USC. They need to get some juice on the offense, and this kid can help with that. The Chiefs could also consider more defensive help. So that's his latest.
Mansour Delane.
Delane?
Delane, yeah.
Not Delaney.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I'm in it just for his name alone. That's an elite corner name.
Mansour.
Yeah.
He said his name sounds like Mansour and means victorious with the help of God.
Okay. I'll take it. I wouldn't mind the player.
It's going to be good. I mean, he's going to be good for somebody, looks like.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind the player.
I wouldn't either.
But we'll see. We'll see where they go. I don't think they're going to trade up. That's the one thing. Don't give up picks. More picks. Trade down. Trade down. Get more picks. That's what I want. 2-minute drill is what I want. It's coming up next.
All right, among schools that have played in at least 5 national championship games, which school has the worst winning percentage? Brought to you by La Feta Delicatessen.
Second half of the program begins right now with our 2-minute drill, talking to the people covering the stories where they're happening. It's brought to you by our friends at Jocelyn's Jewelry, your hometown jeweler, voted the #1 jewelry store in Kansas City. No matter what you need, maybe you need an appraisal, maybe you need a repair. See if those big box stores will do that. Gary Jocelyn's been in business for almost 50 years, locally owned, family owned. You're treated like family the moment you walk in the door. Plus, you get the expertise of almost 50 years, the most knowledgeable staff anywhere around, the best selection of jewelry. If it's not something that Gary would put on his own wife's finger, it's not in the store. You're getting the very best and the very best help when you go into Jocelyn's Jewelry. See him right now. Southeast corner, 95th and Antioch, online at joslynsjewelry.com. Let's get things started on the drill. We begin in Dallas, Texas. Alec Medford, 105.3 The Fan in Dallas, leads us off. Alec, how are you, sir?
Doing great. How are you?
Doing very good. Is life better now that Cooper Flagg is the betting favorite again to win the Rookie of the Year? He'd fallen out of that spot there for a little bit, but he's got it back now. We still feel good about where the Mavericks are going.
Absolutely. It's tough to watch horrible basketball most nights. That part is still very unfun, but whenever you're getting 40-plus point performances, it feels like at least once a week from a healthy Cooper Flagg. It makes it a lot more fun to watch, and you are starting to see the confidence grow. And I even saw LeBron talk about it post-game after the game against the Lakers, where he was like the criticism that Jay Kidd took for starting him at point guard at the beginning of the year, a little unwarranted, because now it shows how comfortable he is when he's not asked to be the ball-dominant guy, when he's not asked to bring the ball up the court every single transition. He's finding himself a lot more comfortable just kind of waiting for his opportunities, but he also does show that dominance that he has the ability to show whenever he does have the ball in his hands. So you're seeing the versatility, you're seeing the big play ability, you're seeing the massive numbers and everything. So it makes these games a little bit more enjoyable to watch for sure.
All right, tell me, how did the comments of Mark Cuban go over? I think it was last week he said that he wishes he had never sold controlling interest of the team. I know everybody, nobody liked that Doncic move, but to have him, a guy who seemingly, poured everything he could into trying to make the team a winner, make that statement, what was the reaction around Dallas? What's the reaction amongst the ownership?
Yeah, the reaction has been certainly interesting. It's been a little bit mixed. I would say from the fans, the prevailing thought is, why are we bringing this up again? It's beating a dead horse, and it's a decision that ultimately you made, Mark. So, the fact that he's just kind of out of thin air saying, hey, let me stir some stuff up, it's not unlike Mark Cuban to draw attention, but it was definitely out of left field to bring up that whole situation, that whole conversation. But I know that it seems to kind of just in one ear and out the other with the current ownership group. They didn't seem to care too much. But I think the person that took the most exception to it was Jason Kidd, who felt like he had to address the media before the next game thereafter and say, look, I still hold it near and dear that I had no involvement in the trade. I had no involvement in any kind of decision making that the fans are unhappy with. So if anything, the head coach took more exception to it and said it's just Mark being Mark. But, the fans are just like, why bring this up now? We were kind of settled down. We were cooled off a little bit, and now we're just ruffling the feathers a little bit, and everybody's just upset for no reason in the middle of a losing season.
Let's talk about the Cowboys. They got 8 picks in the draft, number 12 overall. Do we have a dream scenario at number 12? Is there a guy they want to trade up for? What would Cowboys fans like to see see happen the most? What do you think is actually going to happen?
Yeah, so in the first round they have picks 12 and 20, and I do believe as we get closer, it's starting to feel like that could change. I do think there are a couple of scenarios in play that would make sense for them to move up. I know that they are very high on David Bailey, the edge rusher out of Texas Tech. And if you pay attention to some of their 30 visits that they've been doing, very out of character 30 visits that they're conducting, because a lot of them are some of the names that are being projected inside of the top 10 of the first round. Usually the Cowboys don't even attempt to visit with some of these prospects that are way out of the way of their pick range. They're bringing in guys like Arvell Reese, David Bailey, Sonny Styles. A lot of guys that are even being mentioned top 5 are being brought into Frisco to tour and meet with the Joneses. So I do think Cleveland at 6 would be a reasonable team to watch because they've made it pretty well known that they're listening to trade back scenarios, and the Cowboys would like to try to go up and get their guy if they can. But if they stay put at 12, there's two dream scenarios. Reuben Bain out of Miami and Caleb Downs, the safety out of Ohio State, would be the two names that they would love to take at 12 if they stay.
Okay, we'll see if they can get it done. How about the Rangers being 4-5? There was a lot of people chirping about the Rangers maybe being the sexy pick to come in and win the American League West. 4-5 early, only 9 games in. We're halftime of game 1 of an NFL season as far as where we are in the baseball season. But what are the early returns on them not coming out of the gates hot?
Sure, the early returns are pretty reminiscent of 2025. The offense just being completely flat for most of the beginning of the season. Outside of that beginning road trip, you saw the bats start to come to life a little bit in Baltimore. But other than that, they come home for their first home series and get swept by Cincinnati. And you don't get a lick of offense from any of your big-time producers. You finally get Jock Peterson to break out of his offer to start the season, and it doesn't matter because it ends up in a loss anyways, and it's the only run scored in that game. How poetic for a guy that fans have been clamoring to get off the team. He's the only run support that they get in that final game of the series. But yeah, it's really just the same story as last year. The pitching is going to look great more times than not in terms of the rotation. Jack Leiter just continues to get better with each outing. Nathan Eovaldi had a rough start, but, he's still Evo. Jacob deGrom going tonight. He looks pretty consistent outside of that neck issue that he had where they had to push back his first start of the year. The rotation looks as solid as ever. The bullpen has its days. It's not exactly perfect, but they have their days where they come in, they do good work. They have their days where Robert Garcia decides he's going to give up a game or two. But it's really just copy and paste from last year, which is sad to say because there was some expectations for this offense to be better under Skip Schumacher, but early on it just hasn't looked much different.
Yeah, Wyatt Langford, why is that guy? He was supposed to be this, stud offensive player. Is it still in the cards for him to eventually be a star, or is he just going to be a guy who's a good player but not great?
100% it's still in the cards for him to be a star. I do think that part of this, the managerial change has definitely been a little bit of a shakeup for him. Just philosophically, they've changed some stuff that they're asking him to do at the plate. And one thing that I've noticed is he's not really liking some of the calls that he's getting when he's at the plate, and he's even challenged a few because he's getting in his own head, honestly, where he's getting a strike call that he thinks is inside. He gets a somewhat similar pitch, and it barely scrapes the strike zone. He challenges, and it's a strike, and that's been messing with him. So, and we talked with Skip Schumacher before the home opener last week, and he said that he straight up hasn't done a good enough job of installing a philosophy for the new ABS system with his team, and he feels like nobody really has a grip on it right now. So I think that's a big part, honestly, is his confidence is a little bit shaken with a new understanding of the strike zone. But I do think he's going to heat up eventually. It's just a bit of a slow start. Once he gets his confidence back within himself, he should be fine.
Yeah, the Rangers, the first victim of an ABS walk-off.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, so it's a trivia question. The guy across from me will ask it in about 3 years. Who was the first ever to lose on an ABS? That'll be one of our end of the hour questions, I have no doubt. Make a note of that. Write that down so you have it for a few years from now, Kurtis. Great stuff. Alec Medford in Dallas, Texas. Always appreciate the time, buddy. Have a great week.
Talk to you soon. Thanks.
This is where you find Andy Sweeney, ESPN 680 in Louisville, Kentucky. Andy, how are you, sir?
Soren, it's good to talk to you. I'm good. How are you?
Doing very good. How are Kentucky fans now 2 years into the Mark Pope era?
Oh, it's just miserable. There's really no other way to put it. It's just complete misery around here watching the Final Four. And it's really two prongs, Soren. You have Dusty May at Michigan. If he wins tonight, and regardless, even if he doesn't, Dusty May looks like a star. Dusty May, Louisville fans thought they had him 2 years ago. We're almost at the anniversary of that. And then Kentucky fans are lamenting that they don't have a stud like Danny Hurley. They kind of wanted to go after him a couple years ago. They weren't going to get him most likely, but they're watching UConn bypass them, UConn get closer to them in national championships and everything else. And overall, just a miserable season. Exiting for Kentucky in the round of 32. Should have lost to Santa Clara in that first round, if not for Otegwo Owe making a big shot. So it's miserable. It's misery watching the games, and that's just kind of where both fan bases are.
Yeah. Why didn't they get Dusty May? I mean, it seems like they would have thrown anything and everything at him. What happened?
Yeah. Well, okay, it depends on who you talk to. I think there's a couple things at work here. I think, number one, Louisville, in the story that it goes, their athletic director, Josh Hurd, went to bed one night, Soren, and he thought the next day they were going to hire Dusty May. Okay? In fact, the way we talk about it around here is that the people were putting the chairs up for the big press conference that was going to happen in a couple days. And then, his agent, the thought is he was using Louisville to get to Michigan. Louisville has taken a step back as a program the last several years with the end of the Rick Pitino era. The Chris Mack era ended up being an unmitigated disaster, which ended up in the FBI. They've had 3 athletic directors in 6-7 years, whatever it is. They've had several school presidents as well. I know you're not paying attention to this, but a couple weeks ago they put out, basically a plea for college athletics to be changed around, and that's because U of L's broke. So, I think U of L probably could not offer. No, they couldn't. Not probably. They could not offer what Michigan could. I think right now you could argue Michigan is a better job than Louisville, and I think they had an AD who's, I think, a good guy, but I'm not sure how experienced he is, and many people believe he got used as leverage. Louisville got used as leverage, and Dusty May ends up at Michigan and looks like a complete star, a guy that's going to be able to make deep runs. So it's pretty sad around here. It really is.
Louisville was better. I mean, do they think they're going in the right direction, or are you telling me that they're never going to have enough to put the payroll on the court that they need?
It's a good question. So they did. If you look at it, the problem is locally we look at it and we say all these bad things have happened, right? And so when you don't get back to the Final Four, it's almost like, or at least maybe even the Elite Eight. It's like, or second weekend. I mean, at this point, it's like, well, all is not lost. It got better. I was at Radio Row for the Final Four, and, this past weekend, a lot of people were like, well, Louisville's going in the right direction. I'm like, yeah, you can look at it that way. The flip side of it is, Soren, this is basically a decade of futility now. And that's kind of where most people are just tired of waiting for Pat Kelsey. And the problem that they have is, Soren, that Louisville this past year just won no big games. They got beat by Duke twice. They got beat by 30 at Duke. They lost at home to Virginia. They lost at Tennessee. They lost at Arkansas. They lost to Virginia at home. I mean, they beat Kentucky at home in a game that they were kind of lucky in. They beat Kentucky at home, and they beat Miami, who's a good team, who's a very good team at the end of the year. They exited pretty early in the ACC tournament. And then they lose in the round of 32 to Michigan State, where they never look like they were in the game. And then to add to all of it, they had a big stud freshman. And I know you guys there dealing with Kansas and Darren Peterson, Louisville fans here dealt with, I don't want to say something similar. It was not nearly as talked about, but they had Michael Brown, who's going to be a top 10 kid, maybe a top 5 kid. It's not the kind of guy that the last several years that Louisville's been able to get. Adidas was involved. Donovan Mitchell, former Louisville player now with the Cleveland Cavaliers, was involved. And they got him, and he had some big games, and he looked like a stud. He is a stud. He hurt his back in the Memphis game in which they crushed Memphis. Memphis was terrible. He hurt his back, Soren, and he was out for about a month and a half, missed 8 games. That was around Christmas and New Year. He comes back in the North Carolina game a couple weeks later. He injures it again, and at that point, the kid's dad shut him down. Just shut him down. And we don't know how bad the injury was. We don't know if it's just the dad saying, we're going to shut you down, and we ain't going to worry about this college basketball nonsense. And the thought is he kind of bullied the coaching staff around a little bit through all this. So you have a coach who's trying to learn how to be a big-time coach. You have a program that's starving. You had a superstar who didn't play for, I don't know, half the season or so. And, you made the round of 32, which isn't bad. But boy, it's been a while since this team has mattered in March.
Yeah. All right, tell me, I know I'm kind of bouncing back and forth between the two schools there, but Kentucky, we heard estimates as high as $24 million on their payroll. What do you believe is reality on how much they spent?
Yeah, I believe some of those numbers are reality. Yeah, I really do. Kentucky spent a lot of money. Kentucky spent a lot of money, and I expect Kentucky again to spend a lot of money. I mean, you guys know, especially with Kansas, there's a lot of money to be had in NIL. I think Kentucky will put a lot of money into this team, and they're going to need to because they're not going to have many people back. I mean, that's just it. They have a center who's going to be a sophomore, Malachi Moreno. Maybe they keep him. Local kid was a 5-star, hit the game-winning shot against LSU. You probably don't remember that. I mean, who would ever watch that? It was a terrible game in the middle of the season. They're just in a, So I believe the $22-ish million is spot on. I believe they've spent more than anybody in the sport. I don't think that's crazy. The problem they have is, did they overspend? You know how it is. It's like, we spent. That's great. Well, what did you get for it, right? And I think that's the question. They're wondering if they overspent for a lot of these guys. I mean, Denzel Aberdeen's a good player, but that was a guy who at times was a backup for Florida last year. Yeah. And you bring him in, is he now a stud starter? And he had a very good year. They brought in a kid named Jalen Lowe, who's a point guard at Pittsburgh. He got injured immediately. Had a separated shoulder, tried to fight through it, couldn't play. I mean, he was probably making $2.5 million. Jaden Quains, who's a kid, going to be drafted in the first round, played at Arizona State 1 year under the other Hurley brother. They paid him a bunch of money. He injured his knee. He didn't play base. He played 5 games, and only 3 of them in full. So he played 3 to 5 games all season. So they missed out. Mark Pope wants to shoot a lot of threes. And they didn't get 3-point shooters. Yeah. And he got tougher guys, and they weren't good defensively. So he got tougher guys, and they weren't good defensively. He wants to shoot 33s. He didn't get 3-point shooters. And then on top of it, you lose at Kentucky. It gets loud. And they they had 2 injuries right on top of it. So they had a disastrous season, just an absolute disastrous season.
Tough strategy, not score but make up for it by not defending is always going to be a difficult spot. By the way, my favorite part of everything you just said was that the other Hurley. That Bob Hurley, who for years was the all-time assist leader in college basketball, was just referred to as the other Hurley. Andy, you're the man. We appreciate it, buddy. Have yourself a great week, my friend.
All right, see you guys.
In my mind, I'm gone to Carolina.
Talk to Travis Hancock, WFNZ in Charlotte, North Carolina. Travis, how are you, buddy?
Hey, man, what's going on? Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate the time here. Michael Malone. That's got to be going over like a fart in church.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was a portion of the Tar Heel fan base and those that support the program that are trying to talk themselves into it. Because obviously, just from a coaching the game standpoint, yeah, he's probably a good X's and O's coach. But, from where you were when this whole process started, where you thought your program was, to where you are now, oh, man, that's a humbling experience for the Tar Heels. Then you find out today in the process, look, we know that other coaches turned them down prior, but then, they didn't wait a week for Billy Donovan. They sort of panicked. Scott Drew turned them down, we find out. Then McCollum of Iowa turned them down. So once one coach started to say no to them, man, did it really spiral all the way down to Michael Malone, and that was a shocker when that crossed the timeline today for sure.
Well, it's worked so well with Belichick. I mean, why wouldn't you just replicate it over on the? By the way, is every Duke fan just thrilled with this? Are they just going nuts? And having the time of their life. The fact that this is who UNC ended up hiring.
Well, I can't speak from the Duke perspective, and I think, of course, there's a world where he's good, but is good enough for UNC, because Hubert Davis was good at times, and then, of course, he ended up not being good enough consistently. Yeah, I think if you're a fan of the other teams, the other powers, and of course, that definitely includes Duke, when this whole thing started, it was Brad Stevens, it was Todd Golden, it was Nate Oates, it was, the top of the line, Jay Wright was going to come back. It was the top of the line coaches. And then it started to, Billy Donovan, who I think is still going to be pretty good if he goes to college. But it started to go down a tier, go down a tier, go down a tier. And if you would have said when this whole thing started to a rival, it's going to end with Michael Malone. I think you definitely take that as a person that doesn't support North Carolina.
Is there a money problem at North Carolina?
You know, Matt Norlander from CBS, who does a good job, he keeps indicating that the Belichick, you mentioned Belichick, he's involved in everything, as so is Jordan. You mentioned Belichick there. He keeps indicating that there's a money problem because Belichick's getting so much of it, but I don't know. I've not seen it anywhere else. The interesting part was, I haven't even mentioned Tommy Lloyd, by the way, in this whole entire thing, and it's on me here. You know, the rumor was that Michael Jordan called Tommy Lloyd, and we all thought, oh, well, if Michael Jordan's making the call, he's just going to put in as much money as they need. But, I mean, I guess that fell apart, too. So I wouldn't think that North Carolina has a money problem. It seems kind of crazy to think that, but I don't really see how. But Matt Norlander seems to think so. But that's the only person I've heard on a national or local level really say that.
Well, I mean, now coaches don't just want their money; they want to know that you're going to give them a huge budget for the roster, and it just kind of feels like maybe that's what was keeping them from making that home run higher. It is pretty wild that this many coaches, and to be honest with you, here it's echoing, it's resonating here with Kansas folks who thought they may be replacing their coach because they weren't sure if Bill Self was going to be back. Now they're thrilled that he is back after they watch what North Carolina went through. That it's not just so easy to just reload.
And all those names that North Carolina thought they may get, whether it's Otzelberger was also in the mix too there in the early part. All these names that stay put. When Kansas does open up, well, guess what? They're all there again in a year or two, whenever that happens, right?
Yeah, we'll see if Kansas is viewed as a better job for whatever reason. Yep. All right, Duke. Listen, like I said, I think Duke fans feel better now about what they're dealing with, but there is frustration that they did not go further. How much frustration is there with John Shire? Do they look at it and say, look, it's just a matter of time before this guy wins a championship?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the case of, he's only been there 4 years, and although the last couple have not ended in the way that you want, look at North Carolina trying to scramble to find a guy that is their John Shire. So, I mean, he's been remarkable in every way possible, but trying to close out basketball games. They've only lost 7 games the last 2 years, and I promise you every one of them is oh my God, how did they lose that? This year they lost 3 games. They led by 15, 16, and 19 in those games and lost all 3. So for whatever reason, trying to seal the deal on these games has been the biggest problem, but no one could have envisioned him doing as well as he has in a tough situation replacing Coach K. He does a pretty brilliant job of having a plan roster-wise. He's not really always scrambling. Somebody leaves, someone else comes in. He's doing the best that he can. I think it's just a matter of time before he kicks that door down. Maybe he needs, some, I won't say luck, but, in the NIL era, maybe, one of these lottery picks doesn't go for some reason, and they come back and they benefit from that. Maybe there's a surprise return somewhere in the next couple of years. We go, because they don't usually get the stars back as sophomores, right? So can they somehow get NIL and get someone back unexpected? Maybe that helps them out. But no, I think there's still a belief in Shire, although there is that question of, what's going on here in these big moments where they can't hold on to the lead and they lose just in remarkable fashion.
Well, we've talked about it today. We've talked about it really leading up to once we knew the Final Four was set, but about the age of Michigan. I mean, if you look at their top minutes guys, right. Senior, sophomore, junior, freshman, senior, sophomore, senior. I mean, they are a team that's older guys. I mean, is that one of the knocks? Does Shire need to leave a couple of the freshmen out and go get more veteran guys?
Yeah, he started to do that a little bit here, more than Coach K did at the end. Coach K was, it was like 6, 7 freshmen and throw one vet in there. And by vet, I mean it was the guy that was like 19 coming back. So he's worked a few more in. They had a junior, a sophomore, a senior this year. And I know that's not old, but it's older than they were. And you're right, Michigan was old. And you look at Arizona and you say, man, how did Arizona get punked like that? Well, Arizona was also starting 3 freshmen. And that wasn't talked about probably enough for how good they were. they had 3 freshmen in there, and you saw what happened. So, it's a younger sport, but the older teams seem to be the ones that end up there at the end. But I do think Shire, he's trying to get older, but, he's trying to find that balance of getting the phenoms meshed in with the older guys. He's certainly doing better at it. Not quite there yet, but I think he's still trying to craft that to the way that he wants it.
Yeah, Bill Self went to tons of Elite Eights and a couple of Final Fours before he finally, pushed on through. I don't think there's any doubt that that's just an inevitability between Shire linked up with Duke. It will happen at some point. All right, real quick, do we have a dream scenario for the Panthers at pick number 19 in this upcoming draft?
I think the dream scenario is you asking me about them picking at 19, which isn't a normal tone of conversation when it comes to the Panthers in the draft. Normally it's somewhere in the top 5 to 7. It seems like they did a really good job in free agency of filling some needs. It's a pretty blank slate. They can go. Believe it or not, they may have to go wide out for the 3rd year in a row because Xavier Leggett has not panned out. They could go Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end from Oregon. Could always go offensive line. Some people think they need corner help. I mean, it's quarterback and running back would be the 2 that you don't put in there, but man, just about every position you can think of at 19 is there for them. Maybe a trade back is a good spot there if they want to move back a few because they have so many areas they can go. It may not hurt them to move back a couple, but I think they're in a good spot there, and they're not looking for once a franchise-altering player. They're looking for someone just to come in and help them out rather than change the whole entire franchise. So that's a good sign that it's starting to move in the right direction for the Carolina Panthers.
Travis Hancock in Charlotte, North Carolina. Great stuff, buddy. We appreciate it. Have yourself a great week, my friend.
Anytime, man. Appreciate you guys.
All right, the La Feta Delicatessen, end of the hour answer. Among schools that have played in at least 5 national championship games, which school has the worst winning percentage? There are, how many are there on this to be exact?
Of the, how many schools?
Of the schools that have played in at least 5 national championship games, which school has the worst win percentage?
I'm trying to think if my squad's been in there 5 times. Lost in 87, lost in 96, won in 03. Did we play for it one other time? I don't think we have 5. I don't think we're in that mix. Is there somebody who's 0-5? So there's like a 1 and...
There's somebody who's 1-6.
I mean, UConn has to be the highest, right?
Yep.
They're undefeated.
They're 6-0. More on them in just a second. They're one of 4 teams that have played in multiples without a loss.
Somebody gets there, and then, well, Michigan's lost, and they're playing, so I'll try Michigan.
Michigan, 1-6.
1-6.
And they lost to Villanova. They lost to Louisville.
When did they lose to Villanova?
18.
Oh, with the... That's right. After they beat Kansas with that 30 some odd.
Villanova went crazy. Michigan knocked off Loyola in the Final Four that year. They lost to Louisville in 13. Lost to back to back in 92-93.
Right, the Fab Five.
Yeah. Lost to Michigan in 76. I can't think of who they. Oh, they lost.
They didn't lose to Michigan because they are.
I mean, they lost to.
That's the same because you had them winning it in 2000 too. We never did correct that. We should have pointed out that was Michigan State, which you were talking about.
Lost to Indiana in 76, and then lost to UCLA in 64 here at Municipal Auditorium. Yeah, UConn 6-0. 3 other schools have been to multiple championship games without a loss. Louisville 3-0.
Oh wow, they're 3-0.
San Francisco 2-0, and NC State 2-0.
San Francisco went when they had Casey Jones, the star of the team, the greatest player in NBA history, and Bill Russell.
Yeah,
I know he's the greatest player in NBA history because he has more championship rings than anybody else, which is why Tom Brady can't be caught because he has the most championship rings. So therefore, that applies to all sports. Therefore, Casey Jones is the greatest NBA player of all time.
Yepers. I'm good with that.
Don't care what the rules are. Long as we're all playing by them. La Feta Italian Delicatessen graduation season is here. Celebrate your grad with La Feta Italian Delicatessen. Pick up one of their rockin' sandwich trays on fresh Italian bread, baked fresh every single morning. Or impress your guests with a La Feta charcuterie board. And don't forget, La Feta caters your party. That's right. Big grad party coming up. Have La Feta cater for you. Visit La Feta at 143rd and Metcalf and make your celebration absolutely delicious.
I had not been in a couple of weeks. I'd missed a couple of Fridays that I was annoyed, so I went last Friday after the show. Again, rocking the Queen.
You like the the Queen.
I've determined it has to be the best sandwich I've ever eaten because I've had a dozen of them. Every time I'm like, oh my God, that is so good. Literally every bite, I'm like, okay, that's it. This is the best sandwich I've ever had.
They do a great job.
It's incredible. Every bite, you taste every ingredient. It's just sensational.
Voted the number 2 new restaurant in Kansas City, and already with a second location on the way. That tells you just how popular La Feta has been. Our thanks to the guys on the 2-minute drill. How about, I mean, seriously, Michael Malone? You cannot be going to work talking to your Duke friends if you're a Tar Heel right now.
I wouldn't think so.
Man, you were like, your team sucked, but you fired your coach. You're going to get better, and then John Shire blew another lead, and then maybe I shouldn't have been barking at my Duke friends.
Michael Malone's daughter is a sophomore on the North Carolina volleyball team.
Okay.
I don't know if that's why he's there, but it is.
Well,
someone's noted that.
They bring that up because that is what led, or at least that kind of story is what led to Pete Carroll landing at USC. He had a kid, I think he had a daughter playing sports at USC, and he was on the campus, and supposedly Mike Garrett, who was the athletic director at that time, former chief, was like, "Oh, hey, Pete, why don't you stop on by my office? Let's talk about this job." And people are like, "Pete Carroll, he's been fired by the Jets and Pats. What the hell are you hiring this boob for?" And he ended up being tremendous at USC, and then one of only, what, 1, 2, 3 coaches? 3 coaches in NFL history to win a AP national title.
And a Super Bowl.
And a Super Bowl, one of 4. Do you know who the other coach is to win an NFL championship and a national championship? There's 3 that are Super Bowl national championship. Barry Switzer, Pete Carroll, and Jimmy Johnson.
I used to know the answer to this.
But there's a 4th that won an NFL championship, in other words, before the Super Bowl, and a national championship.
Give me the NFL team.
Browns.
Paul Brown?
Paul
Really?
Brown won a national championship at Ohio State.
I'll be damned.
It was like way back when, but...
Still, champions are champions. By the way, the funniest thing I've seen on this is that Michael Malone took the job in North Carolina so he could keep Bill Belichick from hitting on his daughter.
Strong.
It's like, well done, sir.
By the way, did you see what Belichick's significant other wore to, I think they were at a basketball game, and did you see the shirt she wore?
The one taunting Robert Kraft?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What was the name of the...
I got to look it up.
Oh, I did hear about that. I don't remember.
It's definitely a lot
name.
better if you have the name, because the name
true.
is quite suggestive. Let's see here if I can... the thing you got to type in.
Yeah.
And girlfriend wear
shirt. It was Orchids of something.
Orchids of Asia.
Yeah,
Orchids of Asia T-shirt she wore.
Yes.
At the spa where Kraft's 2019 solicitation scandal took place.
Fantastic.
Which here's one for you, Kyle, because like 2019, what were you? You were in preschool. What were you doing in 19?
Around there. No, I was in college.
You were in college?
Yeah.
Oh man, you're getting old fast. 2019. Where was Bob Kraft later that day?
He was in Kansas City.
He was at Arrowhead Stadium. Yeah.
I remember the
feeling very relaxed.
Yeah.
Well,
the video of him walking out of the tunnel.
Slept on the plane.
Okay.
You know he did.
Yeah. Well, he's old.
Old people.
So there you go. Just a little, tied together. That moment for Bob Kraft and Chiefs history. I don't know if it's down in the Chiefs Hall of Fame or not, but there should be some kind of note.
It ought to be. It's in our Hall of Fame. That's
It's
for sure.
definitely in ours, yeah, for sure. And then I just love the, how's Bob Kraft not in the Hall of Fame? Like I echo the how's Bill Belichick not in the Hall of Fame. That's ridiculousness. But I can see a path to Bob Kraft not making it.
Yeah. I mean, for me, for an owner, they have to have done something besides own a team and spend money. I mean, Lamar Hunt wasn't just the Chiefs owner. I mean, he's in half a dozen Hall of Fames at least anyway. There are guys who...
No, but he founded the AFL.
Yes.
He was big on the revenue sharing of the television networks, which has been huge for their success.
He's probably the most important NFL owner outside of George Halas in the history of pro football.
I if you wanted to do a high school debate class, I'd take a shot at saying he's more important.
Yeah, could be.
Just because of, I think, some of the things he had. He named the Super Bowl. They didn't want to expand. He forced expansion.
And there wasn't anything for the NFL owners to really battle against in 1920, but he went, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
Tried to buy an NFL franchise, got shot down by 2 different teams, and went, he's the one, I think I'll just create my own league.
I just his
and then he did
his fingerprints, because one, the NFL, and he said, okay, I'll do an expansion team, and they said, we're not going to expand.
Yeah.
And then as soon as he started with the AFL, they went, okay, we're going to expand. And then one of the reasons the Vikings are in Minnesota is because that was They went and stole one of his teams, one of his ownership groups. And they said, okay, we'll give you an expansion team in Minnesota. And one of the reasons the Cowboys are in Dallas is because he was going to put an AFL team in Dallas. So they said, okay, they went right at trying to prevent the AFL. So the reason the Cowboys and Vikings are where they are is because of Lamar Hunt.
Yep. And it's funny because you look back at Super Bowl IV, and it was, the established league against the startup league, but the Chiefs have been around longer than the Vikings had by a year. They were the veteran team. It never gets played that way or portrayed that way, but the Chiefs were the veteran team that day.
Yeah.
The Vikings had only been around since 61.
And the Chiefs were what, 60?
Since 60, yeah. They actually have those two teams. But the Vikings were part of the NFL, which had been around for 50 years. We're celebrating their 50th year. But they were the least experienced ball club.
Yeah. Bob Kraft. Fun day when you can mention the name Bob Kraft.
Always.
Gotta like that. Bob
Like
Kraft.
certain things you could check off. Oh, what was it? Jim Valvano said, if you can laugh, you can cry, and you can think. That's a full day. He didn't mention if you can throw in Bob Kraft. It's a good day, too.
But what's on Bob Kraft's checklist? If you can visit the Orchid, fly on your private jet, and watch your team win a conference championship game, that's a good day.
That's a good day.
So he's probably not lamenting that day that much.
Probably not.
Fancy lawyers pretty much got him out of everything.
Got to be in his top 10.
So, got that going for him.
There's such a good joke that I can't say.
Alec Medford from Dallas said the Cowboys are interviewing all kinds of guys that are supposedly going to be way ahead of where they're picking at number 12. So circle the Cowboys as a trade up. Maybe 9's good enough for him to get up there, but
yeah, they were the lowest pick in the first round to have had a 30. What was it they called, a 30?
Top 30 interview.
Top 30 interview with Reese. So, I remember when that came out over the weekend or late last week, they were the only team that was behind the Chiefs in the draft that was among the teams. So I would assume they're thinking about that.
Doing a bunch of different mock drafts. One of the things I looked at was, all the different, because you can trade when your pick comes up. And so I don't think the Cowboys picks really match up that well with the Chiefs. They have 12 and 20. I mean, you're not giving up 20 to go from 12 to 9. 12 to 9 is like a third-round pick, and I think where their pick was, I think they have a second and like a fourth. Like they don't have a third. Like the amount on the trade charts that it would take was a pick that they didn't really have. So you're going to have multiple picks. But they'll have the combination done. It'll be ready to go so that if the phone rings, the Chiefs could spin it really quick.
They have 12 and 20, then nothing until 92. They have 112 in the fourth, 3 selections in the fifth, and then 218 overall in the seventh.
That's the part that I think people aren't aware of is that, in the last 2 weeks, Brett Veach and his people, whether it's Brett Veach personally or just one of the lieutenants, will call and be like, okay, where are you guys? Are you thinking you're going to move? And they'll have basically the trade, they'll check in with, he said this before, this isn't insider stuff, but they'll check in with which trade chart do you use so we can speak your language.
Know what the currency is.
Yeah, and so we can combo it up if we want to do it, what you're going to be looking for, and then they'll have the combinations of picks it would take to make the move ready to go so that it will fit that chart. So if it's okay, if they wanted to move down to 12 and the Cowboys come up and whatever you said, 90-something or 1-0 isn't enough, okay, we need 90-something and we need this, and then we'll send you back this.
Yeah.
And then they'll be ready to be able to be like, okay, here's, we're 3 minutes on the clock. Okay, Dallas is here. They want to know. They want to come up. All right, this is it. Are they yes or no on this? They'll do it. Okay, done.
To where they're not, they go, okay, hang on, give me 5 minutes. I got to
let me
think about all these angles.
Okay, this plus this one. Okay, but now we need to get a little bit more there.
Yeah,
they've already got to figure.
You just have to establish what you think it is and go with it.
Yeah.
Or just say, if you have any doubt, no. Or, you just have to make a decision. You can't, you've done all the work.
My dream is that the Chiefs make 10 draft picks. Because somewhere they traded down and got another pick. That would be my dream. 10 picks is what they made in 22. Worked out pretty good. They started with 12. Ended up making 10 picks. So
trade down to 20 instead of trading up to 20 with 29. You'd get a nice haul for going.
I would do it
9 to 20. That'd be.
I would do it.
I'd love that.
It depends upon how you view what's going to be there at 9. Obviously.
Yeah.
All right. We'll take a break.
What's going to be there at 20?
913-810-810. You're on the program. All right, wrapping up hour number 3. Coming up, we'll get you the things you need to know. Greg Gurley going to be with us as well, talking some championship game and some KU. You were doing some numbers on winning big?
Yep, Michigan, if they win tonight by double digits, they'll be the 7th school in the 64-team era to win all 6 games by double digits. They would join Michigan State in 2000, Duke in 01, Carolina in 09, Villanova in 18, UConn in 23 and 24. And if they win by 15, they'll be the 3rd team to win 5 of their 6 games by at least 15 points. The only ones to do it before this, UConn in 23 and UConn in 24.
Wow.
Those were dominant runs.
Yeah, they were really impressive from UConn. Let's hope that UConn does not get it done tonight.
Same.
Again, you'll hear it right here on your home of the national championship, Sports Radio 810 WHB. We'll get you the things you need to know and bring you Greg Gurley coming up next hour here in the program.
All right, what was the last current Big 12 school to lose 2 games in a single NCAA tournament? Brought to you by LaFetta Delicatessen.
Tempo to the program begins right now as we finish strong here on a Monday.
Pretty nice looking Monday it ended up being.
Pretty nice looking Monday. Yeah, ended up being pretty good. We've got the National Championship of College Basketball right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Let's hear from a couple of the participants in this contest. We'll start with Dusty May, who said UConn is the standard bearer in college basketball right now.
Well, if you want to be the best, you have to be able to get over the hurdle, which is UConn. The run that they're on now over this 4-year period, I think they're 18-1 in NCAA tournament games. For us to be the best, and everyone in our locker room want to be the best. We have a very ambitious group. Then we have to get over this hump, and UConn is not going down without a fight. And our team does remind me of their group a few years ago. The difference is most of their group had eligibility remaining and came back and ran it back. And so we're still on the infancy stages of building a program like UConn's, but we could have more respect for the opponent we're going against Monday night.
Okay. How about experience? UConn definitely has that edge. May hopes it's not a major factor in the game.
If experience is a major factor, then we're in big trouble tomorrow. Obviously, Coach Hurley's been here often and recently. We are versed in short preps. You play these multi-team events, you play conference tournaments, and we do have a style of play that we felt like from the beginning would be difficult to prepare for in a short turn. In the Big Ten, you get some scheduling breaks where you might play a team on Tuesday and then play someone else on Friday and then someone else on Sunday. So there are quick turns. And based on how our system is designed, we do feel like it's a challenge to prepare for us, but I also feel like UConn on a short prep is challenging as well.
Yeah,
I agree.
I would agree. All right, how about Dan Hurley? His team, the decided underdog in this one. He said the Wolverines, they're the great team.
They've got just a great scheme. Obviously, they got one of the best coaches in the game in Dusty, and they got the orchestrator with Cadeau, who's shown his worth, obviously at that position, orchestrating everything. And then just the wing shooting, like the wing shooting, the two-way players on the wing that make threes. I mean, it was a beautifully constructed roster that dominates the glass, dominates defensively. They just put so much pressure on your paint at both ends of the court.
Beautifully constructed roster. That's such the buzz words of modern basketball. And when you watch Michigan, if you ever want to see what's that look like, just watch them play. Everything just flows into the next thing so well.
Yeah, it
Incredible
does.
to watch.
They're really good. I mean, they've been pounding people who are not quoting all these stats on winning big.
And you look up and you go, it's 18 now. When did that happen?
Yeah. Dan Hurley said they have to play the right kind of game to win this one.
For us, we need to play the game a certain type of way. We obviously can't get into a certain type of game with Michigan. They're, incredibly dominant team, incredibly well coached, talent up and down the roster, physically imposing, all those things. So, the good thing for us, it's not a 7-game series. Just got to play one game on Monday night.
Yep.
That's the quote that stuck with me. It's a good thing it's not a 7-game series. I mean, he knows, we just got to find a way to win one time. They're 6.5-point underdogs.
Yeah.
Game starts at 7:50. You'll hear it right here on Sports Radio 810.
Only got to win one, but if they win tonight, particularly if they win by more than a bucket, not that he hasn't already earned it, but you got to give it up to Dan Hurley. If he puts his team,
I don't.
You should. I know what you're saying, but that'd be like this is as impressive as those last two championships were. If he wins tonight, this is, I think, as impressive, if not more.
Other college basketball news: North Carolina is expected to be hiring longtime NBA coach Michael Malone. He coached the Denver Nuggets to a NBA championship, and his daughter plays volleyball there. So, what could go wrong? 3 more Jayhawks are headed to the college basketball transfer portal. Bryson Tiller, Elmarco Jackson, and Paul Mbia. They joined Flory Badunga. So got a lot of work to do just to keep the roster that they have intact. The Mets have placed Juan Soto on the injured list today after he suffered a minor right calf strain running the bases Friday against the Giants. He's expected to be sidelined 2 to 3 weeks. That hurts my my MVP pick with him. Not happy about that. And then Giants defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence has requested a trade, said he's not going to participate in the offseason activities. He has 2 years remaining on his deal and is scheduled to make $20 million this upcoming season. Let's talk about the national championship game. We'll talk about the Jayhawks coming up next with Greg Gurley here in the program.